Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for the Tech Guy is provided by CacheFly. CacheFly.com. Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Networks on Sunday, January 25th, 2015. This is episode 1156. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by HipChat Plus. Collaborate, save time, and be more productive with your teams. HipChat Plus is IM, video chat, file, code, and screen sharing all in one place. Invite your team members and get a free 30-day trial of HipChat Plus at hipchat.com/techguy. And by Gazelle, the fast and simple way to sell your used gadgets. Find out what your used iPhone, iPad, or other Apple product is worth at gazelle.com. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. Time to talk about tech. Computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones. Oh, yeah, we'll talk about those too. 8888 Ask Leo, that's the phone number. 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada, anywhere at all. Outside those areas, you can use Skype and call me. 888-827-5536. Our website, techguylabs.com. That's a good thing to keep in mind because there's good stuff there. All sorts of fun stuff, including answers to all the questions we get. 8888 Ask Leo. Did you see? We live in interesting times. That's one of the things I like about technology. It's so interesting. For instance, there is a genuine. You see the Iron Man movies, and the guy Tony Stark. He's like the industrialist genius. He builds the Iron Man suit, flies around fighting crime, saving the world. We have an actual Tony Stark in our midst, a billionaire industrialist with crazy ideas. His name is Elon Musk. And I think he freely admits he models himself on the comic book hero. He has yet to make an iron suit, although he has some interesting ideas. Maybe you've heard of his Hyperloop. He says, I'm not going to build the Hyperloop. I'm going to let others build it. Smart man. The idea is it's a supersonic, I don't even want to call it a train, more like a pneumatic tube that would fire people from L.A. to San Francisco and back in 35 minutes. It is normally a 5-hour drive. Top speeds of 760 miles an hour. You get in this tube with an air compressor in the front. And you've seen in the old department stores the phoom, and they'd put the thing in the tube and phoom, that's what you'd be. Okay, you get the idea. He's the guy, of course, who created Tesla. Probably people thought that was crazy. A battery-powered car with a range of 300 miles. No, that couldn't possibly. Not only is it real, it's working quite well. So this week he announced he's going to spend $10 billion to put the internet in space. It's not even that crazy because he's not alone. Google's doing something kind of crazy like that. Project Loon, aptly named, putting balloons up in the stratosphere, balloons that would carry internet access to the entire world. There are others doing similar things with geostationary satellites, low Earth orbit satellites. These would be low Earth orbit satellites he wants to launch for the space internet. He somehow connects it with reaching Mars. He says it'll be important for Mars to have... I love living in the future. It will be important for Mars to have a global communication network as well. Yeah, sure. So we'll test it out here on Earth, and then we'll roll out the real thing in Mars when we get there. These are be hundreds, not 20, not 30, not 100, hundreds of satellites rotating about 750 miles above the Earth. That's very low Earth orbit. Satellites in geosynchronous orbit, like the GPS satellites, they're at 22,000 miles, 750 miles. You could practically see them. And because they're so low, they would be faster. You'd have high-speed internet. He says it would rival fiber optic, which is hundreds of megabits per second. And it wouldn't just be over the U.S., it'd be over the whole world. Well, I think this is a great idea, a grand idea. It's only $10 billion. My goodness, we should just do it. Let's just do it. He is going to raise money from other folks. He says, actually, he thinks that it would be a faster internet backbone than the one on the ground because in space, the speed of light is 40% faster than it is in fiber. So these satellites talking to one another would actually be a 40% faster backbone. So traveling, and you understand when you get on the internet, the first mile, is you to your internet service provider, and then it hits the backbone, which are big, fat pipes that go across the country, across the world, underseas. That's expensive. Put undersea cables, all of that. No, we don't need that anymore. We've got Tony Stark. 60 people already are working on this, 1,000 within 3 to 4 years. He says he'll raise money from others. And the funny thing is he's not the only one doing this. There's another guy, Greg Weiler. He's an entrepreneur who's got a startup called OneWeb. He's been working on this for 15 years. OneWeb has some pretty big partners, including Richard Branson and Virgin. He's the other Tony Stark in the world. Crazy billionaire entrepreneurs. This is kind of exciting. Actually, they know each other. Elon Musk and Greg Weiler. Hey, go for it, guys. Just let us know when it's set up, and we'll be happy. We'll be happy. I love living in the future. Here's an interesting bill being proposed in Missouri that would slow down Apple Pay and other mobile payment systems. Do you know? Have you used Tap to Pay yet? It's kind of cool. If you have an Apple iPhone 6 or 6 Plus, I think it'll work with you have to have a 6 or 6 Plus. Or you have one of many Android phones, and you see that Tap to Pay logo there. Whole Foods markets have it, others. Then instead of giving them a credit card, signing on the dotted line, you just tap your phone. And bada bing, bada boom. You got it. You're paid. That's all you have to do, unless you're in Missouri. Democrat Representative Joshua Peters of St. Louis introduced a bill this week that will require customers paying with Apple Pay or other tap-to-pay solutions show a state driver's license. Cashiers would be required to keep the information in a log, or the store could be financially responsible. You got to show ID. Now, on the face of it, that sounds, reasonable, but it's not, because the Apple Pay is very secure, better. And the nice thing about Apple Pay, the thing a lot of us like, is the merchant gets no personal information about you. They don't even get your credit card number. They get a token, which is then handed off to the credit card system, and they go, oh, yeah, that's Leo. He just paid with his iPhone. And they go, okay, and they give the merchant the money. Merchants aren't crazy about this. In fact, you may remember a few merchants have actually banned Apple Pay. Well, who was it? Was it CVS? Or is it, what was Walmart's idea? See, Walmart wants the personal information about you. So Walmart's created this consortium of others that won't, was it Rite Aid? Maybe it was Rite Aid. They had Apple Pay terminals, they had Tap to Pay, and when Apple Pay came out, they took them out. They said, oh, well, never mind, because we want a new system, a system that allows us to collect information about you. See, this is bad. You can come in and that's like cash. Come in and buy something, and they hate it when you pay cash. You notice that? They go, well, what's your Target card? I don't have one. Would you like one? No. I want to just give you $1 for this pack of gum. No, you'd save 12 cents if you had a Target card. No, I don't want a Target card. Oh, come on. It's good for you. Because they can collect information about what you do and what you buy and they advertise. I don't think it's like they're spying on you. But this is the way they know. You see, when you go to one of these stores, CVS, when they print out the receipt, it's 8 feet long because it's full of all these coupons for things I've bought before. Because they know. They don't like Apple Pay. Apparently, this guy from Missouri doesn't like it either. Crazy. 8888 Ask Leah. Let's go to the phones right after this.
Slide your card here, and then or tap your RFID device.
Hey, if you're still backing up your business files.
But that was only for like a week. Now it's got the appropriate
yeah.
icon.
Oh, they have the Apple Pay icon. That Lucky does now? That's good.
Yeah, and but I use my debit card, which is when I do it, it's still credit or debit. I have to hit debit.
I know.
And then I have to put in the PIN.
Yeah, I know. It's a pain in the butt.
My credit card, would I still have to sign?
Only if it's over a certain amount.
Yes, that's right, over a certain
I
amount.
should try with a credit card and see if it's...
You do sometimes have to sign, but you can draw a fish. I do that.
Because it's not, it seems to me that...
So it's really secure. Then it's your job to identify the fish when you get your bill.
I was hoping I wouldn't have to do anything, so that it would be easier than...
Tap to pay, you don't. Get a gosh darn... We have an iPhone.
Well, no, I'm saying, it asked me, is this debit or credit? And then it asked me to put...
When you do the tap to pay?
Yes.
Oh, I thought you were giving him a credit card. When you do a tap to pay with your iPhone, it says enter your... Is this a debit?
It asks me if it's a debit or credit.
They must be part of that stupid consortium.
And then it asked me to put in my PIN.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
I haven't tried it with a credit card.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
So at Whole Foods...
At Whole Foods, you don't do anything. You go, bonk, bye-bye.
No, have you tried it with a debit card?
Oh, you mean signed into your Apple Pay?
Yeah, I use a debit card.
No, it doesn't matter what you have on your Apple Pay. I use I don't remember what I use. Doesn't matter. It's all done. They don't even see that it's a debit card. They see a token.
Credit or debit. And it's the same question that it asked me when I slid my debit
Their
card.
system's broken.
No, they still see it. They can still see it.
They can tell it's a debit card?
You can still get cash back.
Oh, did you ask for cash? That's maybe why.
No.
But at Whole Foods, you just tap it.
Right, but it knows it's a credit card.
But it knows it's a credit or debit card.
Yeah.
Because it's smart.
Well, no, here's the thing.
But a
Credit card-
debit card could be used as either.
Exactly.
Right.
So that's why. The thing is, I'm wondering if I tried it with a credit card, if it would
It
be
wouldn't ask you all that.
if it would be easy.
What's the weather? Is it bad in New York?
Ugh, they're bracing for a blizzard.
Bracing for a blizzard. Good. Yep, Sarah's on her way.
Sad. Oh, no.
Where's Sarah? You know what I missed about the OnePlus? The knock to open it up. I like knock to unlock. I love that. Love that. Up to 2 feet of snow in the city.
You don't feel silly banging on your phone like that? It seems like, hey, it's not working.
Love that.
I'm going to give it
Actually,
the
the Windows Phone does that too. Yes, you can give my phone book to the Audi. Audi. Kind of missed the old OnePlus. Kind of missed it. It's such a nice phone. A little smaller, a little easier to put in your pocket. No wireless charging though. I wish I had that. Is there an app for ISO that I could turn my devices into webcam security system? What's ISO? The International Standards Organization? 81 in La Quinta. It's going to be, I think, 65 today in Huerapuma. Somebody sent me a note because we were talking about Livonia, Michigan, where some car is going to be made. And I said, I didn't know that was in Michigan. I thought it was like Fredonia. And they said, how dare you make fun of Livonia? You live in a town with a stupid name called Petaluma. It's true. Absolutely correct. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. That's Geddy Lee, right? That's Rush, right? Gotta be. Yeah. Nobody sounds like that in the world. Nathan Staten's our musical director. He's the guy who spins the tunes. He's our disc jockey. You see him because he's got one headphone on. He's got that weird disc jockey thing, and he's queuing up the records. That's how you'll know when we do the live show that's Nathan Staten. And then you'll see the woman with the telephone operator's headset. One ringy dingy. Her name is Heather Hammond. We call her the phone ranger. She's the person who picks up when you call 8888-ASK. Leo, hey, Heather.
Good morning.
Good morning. So 2 feet of snow coming to New York City tomorrow. Big blizzard. We have a lot of listeners there. Mike B is, I think he's in New Jersey, but that's, I think, close enough that he's probably going to get the same thing. Dr. Mom's in Long Island. Lots of people in our chat room battening down the hatches.
For sure.
So stay warm, stay safe, and if you don't have it, go run over to Radio Shack. They're not bankrupt yet, are they? Run on over to Radio Shack and get yourself one of those silly, simple little phones that just doesn't plug into the power. It just plugs into the phone jack. That's powered by the phone company. Still, if you haven't turned off phone service in your home. Because in an emergency, when power goes out, you can still make emergency calls.
I was thinking that. I hope they don't lose power. Some of our LA listeners lost power because of Santa Ana winds yesterday.
Right.
Crazy.
Yeah. The other thing, of course, power supplies. You could get what they call an uninterrupted power supply. Be good for your television setup if you have a nice TV, a nice stereo. You want to protect those power surges and brownouts. Sudden high power and sudden low power, both bad for them. And of course, for your computer equipment, any digital equipment. Probably nowadays, so much stuff in our home is digital, like our thermostat and our everything, our refrigerator. You probably should get a in-home surge suppressor. That would be a good thing to have. You can get a qualified electrician to come, and they can do it right at the box there, and then the whole house is somewhat protected against that. Not the same as a battery backup or a UPS, but those things, you couldn't run the whole house for very long. 10 minutes, not long. So yeah, prepare. It's winter. So Heather, you have been lining up calls for the last 2 or 3 seconds, and I know you're ready with a great call to start us off.
Are you ready to put your legal beagle, wig on, powder wig?
Uh-oh.
John in Carlsbad has a question about a class action lawsuit.
Oh, my.
Your opinion.
We're going to need to get Bill Handel in here for some marginal legal advice. Hi, John.
Hello.
Hey, welcome. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, good morning. So I'm wondering what your thoughts are about the Apple lawsuit regarding their stated gigabytes and then the actual gigabytes after they load it up with software.
Every device that you've ever owned, every Windows machine, every smartphone, every Apple computer, in every case, when you buy it, there's a hard drive, and on the hard drive is the operating system, and that takes up space. It's kind of the way it is. And so this class action lawsuit, it's true that when you buy anything, like even a smartphone with, you buy smartphones with 16 gigs of storage, in some cases, a Samsung Galaxy S4, half of that 8 is used by the software. So should we sue everybody, or can we just assume that consumers aren't complete idiots and understand that?
I agree with you. I just wanted to know if what you thought would happen.
I'll tell you what happens.
I just assumed I would have 10 instead of 16 or
whatever. And I understand that. And it is an issue on older iPhones. A lot of people who had, and I don't know why they sold 8-gigabyte iPhones. They did. And that anybody who had anything on their iPhone could never upgrade to iOS 8, for instance, because it needed 5 gigabytes free. So that's kind of a legitimate complaint. But I don't think Apple anticipated that, 4 years ago when they sold that iPhone 4S, that someday you'd want that much free space on there. Maybe they should think about making iOS 8
like an external storage
smaller or something. I don't know. So mostly class action suits are started by the law firms, and that's who gets most of the money, right? Because they do the whole thing on contingency. They get half or more of the award, and then the rest of it's divided up among the class, which can be millions of people. I get postcards all the time, saying, congratulations, you're a winner. I got one from Pop Chips. I guess they got class action lawsuit for Pop Chips saying, you said they were healthy. They're not. They're a snack food. Well, duh. But anyway, so what do I get? I get like a free bag of Pop Chips if I cash in this postcard, which I'm never going to do, because I can get a bag of Pop Chips for $0.25 down the hall in the machine. So I think class action lawsuits benefit one group and one group only. That's the attorneys. There are cases where there's merit in the class action lawsuit. The drug that the big pharma company put out was dangerous, and they knew it, and No, there are some with merit. I'm not saying they're all meritless, but this feels a little frivolous to me. Yeah, I admit that it's kind of an issue in some cases, like primarily iPhone 4S's that only Apple shouldn't sell an 8 gigabyte device in this day and age, but they didn't. They sold it 4 years ago. They put 8 gigabyte devices on the list to say, look how inexpensive our phones are, which they're not. But that's the price you always see is the lowest price, right? So they make those. But I think no one should buy them. So I guess let the buyer beware is a little bit true here. You should buy more storage perhaps than you think. And do remember, you know, when you buy a computer of any kind, the operating system has to be stored on the storage device too. And it's not a big deal to ask. I guess maybe the positive upshot of a class action lawsuit like this is perhaps they'll put this on the box and in the sales materials and on the website. Some companies do. Microsoft got a lot of heat on the Surface tablets when they first came out because there was so little free space after you put the operating system on there. But no one sued them. It's appropriate for them to get some heat, and I think appropriate for them to respond by putting in the materials there. It can even be in the not super fine print, the medium fine print, 116 gigs available on a 128 gig hard drive. But you understand that. I think most people understand that. I do, there's only so far class action lawsuits can go to protect consumers. So you ask my opinion, I think it's kind of frivolous. I think it's done by the law firm that wants to make a lot of money from Apple. We'll see if they have a shot at it. I feel like a jury's going to throw that one out. I really do. Aaron in Tucson, Arizona. Hi, Aaron. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo. Nice to meet you. I've been listening to your shows for a couple of years now.
Thank you.
But I had a question. I purchased an N450DB Belkin router last week.
Uh-huh.
And I was wondering, because I've listened to this show some, and I've heard you talking about router software,
Yes.
like the web server stuff.
Yep.
I've wondered if there's, because I've heard, like I said, I've heard you talking, and you talk about how sometimes the software that comes with routers is really bad.
Yeah, this is a good subject. We have to hang on because we got to take a break. But when we come back, let's talk about routers and what you can do to make them better. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. They don't still sell an 8 gigabyte. Do they? I don't think you could buy. Yeah, you see there, the from 199 is the key, right? So let's see. Choose a finish, choose a carrier, choose a storage. Yeah, they sell 16 gig. Thank goodness they don't sell 8 gigabyte models anymore. So the 6 starts at 16. Even 16 is a little light, but I guess if you don't have the money and you want to save money and you're not going to use more than 8, this is a 64 gig phone, $350, out the door unlocked. It's a great phone. That's one of the reasons I like this. The 1+1, hard to get. They still have this weird invite system. Although on January 20th for 2 hours. You could just go, and that's when I got this. You can just go and buy it. And I've had this before. I actually gave my last one to Father Robert Ballasare. I gave it to the church. I should get a deduction for that, shouldn't I? But I missed it because the battery life is so good, like 20 hours. It's 5.5 inches, smaller though than the iPhone 6 Plus, even though it's the same exact screen. Not just size-wise. It's the same exact part, we think. But fits in your pocket a little bit better than this Nexus 6 that I've been using. And it's even though it's not Lollipop, it's identical as far as I can tell. Even the buttons down here, you can make Lollipop-ish. But so this is 64. Let's just see what the storage situation is here. Storage, and because I've put like 8 books on here. I download audiobooks. So total space free. This is important. Out of 64 gigs, 54.8. So that means 10 gigs used for the operating system. I've used 11 gigs for all the apps, and that includes the Audible books, which are probably I don't know what. Oh, and also maps. 6 gigs of maps for Here Maps, because I like downloading my maps. And Nokia's Here Maps lets you download. So I have all of the United States and Europe on here. Don't have a lot of music or pictures yet. And then miscellaneous, that's the books, 4 gigs miscellaneous. But with all that, with a 64 gig device, 54 gigs free, I still have almost 40 gigs free on here. And I've loaded this thing up. So you probably could get by. I could have gotten by with 32 gigs. In fact, that's what I have on the Nexus 6. 16, I couldn't have made it with all the stuff. But look, I mean, look what I have on here. I have audiobooks. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 audiobooks totaling more than 100 hours. Actually, this is 43 hours alone. So, like, I have 200 hours of listening in the audiobook department here. And these are high-quality ones. So, in other words, I think people don't need as much as they think. This would have been fine on 32 gigs. It's only $350 for 64. It's $50 more for extra 32 gigs. So. But just the iPhone is so expensive. I mean, this is, I would say, in every respect as good as an iPhone 6 Plus. Even higher resolution screen. It's a 1080p screen. No, I guess the 6 Plus is that, right? And $350. A comparable iPhone 6 Plus would be $800 or $900 unlocked. Yeah, the 4S is the one that sells 8 gigs, and the 4S is the one where, you know, it's really marginal. You probably can't install iOS 8 unless you wipe the phone first. Just crazy. And that's the one they're getting sued over, I'm sure. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. We were talking before the break with Aaron in Tucson. I had a great question. He just bought a Belkin router. But he's curious, can you make it a better router? So let me talk a little bit about that. What is a router? A router, many of us have them, first got introduced to them. You know, they used to be business devices, but we first got introduced to them when we started to have more than one internet-connected device in the house. 2 computers, for instance. You can't hook up 2 computers to a single cable or DSL modem. So you get a router, and really initially a router for most people was just a way to share the internet among multiple computers. And in fact, that's where the word router comes from. It is routing the internet traffic that comes in to the appropriate computer. So if I've got 2 computers in a smartphone, A, B, and C, hooked up to a single router, hooked up to a single internet connection, all 3 of them in public on the public internet look like they're the same computer. They have one internet address. So if I use computer A and I start a transaction with a website, I say I want to see yahoo.com. So the computer A sends through the router a request to yahoo.com, a special packet called a SYN packet, and yahoo.com goes, what? Hello? Oh, hi. Yes, you want to have a conversation? You want to browse my stuff? Great. And it sends the ACK or acknowledgement back, a SYN ACK back. Now it gets to the router, and you know, it's not saying computer A. It doesn't know what from A, B, C, or D. So the router says, oh yeah, A was just starting that conversation, so I'm going to route the data to A. The router's sitting in between you and the outside world, and it's handing off traffic. It's saying, yep, that packet's for computer A, that's for computer B, that's for computer C. That's all a router does. Now, there has some real advantages. Because the router is the thing that is sitting directly on the internet, it is a buffer between you and the outside world. Hackers, instead of going after your computer, they have to hit the router. They have to get by the router. And routers are kind of simple. So, for instance, this conversation we just talked about, you initiated the conversation with Yahoo. When if the router just got a packet from Yahoo without you initiating it, it would say, well, I don't know who this goes to, and would drop it. So when hackers try to get into your network by sending packets of data to your network, the router goes, I don't know. So this router is actually a computer. It's a simple computer, but it's a computer. It has a processor. It has storage. It has firmware. It's an operating system. But it's a cheap computer. Sometimes, how much did you pay for that Belkin? You know, they're $40, $50, right? So it's
I paid $50.
50. So it's a cheap computer. I mean, a really cheap computer. Now, unlike your computer at home, you can't update. You can update it, but you don't get as many updates. In fact, you can't update routers. It's always a good idea. The first thing to do when you buy a router, and every few months thereafter, or anytime you hear word of a problem, is to update the firmware on the router. And you know how you talk to the router. The router is a computer but doesn't have a keyboard or a mouse or monitor. So you use any of the other computers inside the network to surf to the router's address. And that address is a numeric address, usually of the order of 192.168. Sometimes 1.1, depends on the router. Every manufacturer does it differently. It's either a 192 in the first position or a 10. Those are the two kind of numbers designated for in-house networks or LANs. 192 or 10.
I don't know if it helps, but I like to think of the addresses as like phone numbers on.
They are. That's exactly what they are.
Yeah.
They're different forms. So phone number is area code, exchange, three-digit area code, three-digit exchange, and a four-digit number. In routers, there are four sets. We call it a dotted quad. Four different numbers, each separated by a dot, like 192.168.1.1. So those are four numbers. The numbers range from 0 to 255. They're 8-bit numbers, 0 to 255. So it is like a phone number, isn't it? And every computer on the internet has to have a unique phone number, or it would be confusing, just like every phone has to have a unique phone number. In any event, the router does the work. So you have one public internet number that's assigned to you by your internet service provider. Internally, you have a network with 192.168.1.1.1.2.1.3, and on up to 1.255. That internal network, those numbers are seen only internally. They're used by the router. So now that you understand what a router is doing and how it works, what can we do to make it better? Well, the first thing, as I said, is make sure it's up to date. So if you surf to the router, you'll get an interface to the router. You may have to enter a password and stuff. By the way, secure that router. Make sure you change the router's password. If it's a Wi-Fi router, change its name. There are a few things you might want to turn off. One is WAN administration. It might have a different name, but the idea that you could administer the router from outside your network, that's not good. You don't want a bad guy to be able to administrate your router. So you turn off WAN administration. I like to turn off UPnP. That's Universal Plug and Play. That's a thing Microsoft invented for the Xbox that allows the Xbox to open holes in your router to say, hey, if anybody... Remember we talked about this? The router normally will reject incoming packets because it doesn't know where they go. It allows the Xbox to say, hey, router, if any packets come to my address, send them over to me, would you? That is a problem because it does it silently, without warning. The user doesn't know. And it's fine for the Xbox. You trust the Xbox, but it also means malware. A bad guy who somehow gets something on your computer can do the same thing. Can use UPnP to say, and if any traffic should come to 192.168.1.110, make sure you give it to me. And that allows a bad guy to access your network from the outside in. So I always turn off UPnP. That's a good thing to turn off. If you're using a Wi-Fi router, you're also going to want to turn on encryption. And the best encryption is WPA2. That's the strongest. So turn that on. It just means you enter a password the first time you use any device on that network. Now, let's talk about the firmware, because that's the operating system. Belkin and everybody else makes operating system firmware for their router. They often do a very poor job. They're only making $50. Sometimes there are flaws. In fact, most routers now have serious flaws. And most router manufacturers don't bother to fix them. They just figure, well, we'll fix it in the next one. You hope they fix it because then you can get an update by going into the router's interface and you'll see an item that says update firmware. You should do that anyway, periodically, just in case. But what you'll find with most routers, including Belkin and Linksys, the big names, is they update it maybe once and then they go, yeah, it's $40. What are we going to do? Yeah, it's not worth it. So my suggestion is that you either get a router that's going to be kept up to date or get a router that you can put your own operating system on. There are two publicly created and updated router firmwares out there. One is DD-WRT, and the other is Tomato. Now, not all routers, I suspect your Belkin is not compatible, but not all routers are compatible. To find out, Google DD-WRT and go to their website, or Google Tomato router and go to their website, and they'll have a list of compatible routers. There is one company, and I have to applaud ASUS for doing this. ASUS routers use DDWRT. ASUS decided, you know what? Why should we be writing this software? Let's use the publicly available, publicly maintained router firmware and make routers that work with it. So you can buy, I think it's ASUS. Is it ASUS or Acer? Oh, now I'm going to check. Now you can buy routers, ASUS, with DDWRT already in it. In fact, if you go to their page, it says, "You spoke, we listened, ASUS routers with DDWRT." The nice thing about that is these are actively being updated by a community around DDWRT, and they don't have the flaws that most consumer routers do. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Don't worry about AC. I'm sure it will. Yeah, it supports AC. You're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong. These are AC routers. These are AC routers. Oh, my light. Did you see that?
I did.
I'm in the dark. So, I know you just bought that Belkin. But the next router you get should be, I think, should be an ASUS router. Or go to DDWRT and see which routers are supported. Because they have a list in their router database. And if your router is supported, and a lot of routers are supported, but remember, there's so many routers in the world that they can't support all of them. Some Belkins are, though. So check and see. Usually it's older ones, but check and see. Because this is a community that's keeping this up to date. So it's very cool.
I unplugged it, plugged it back in, and it seems to have reset itself.
It's nice and bright.
Is it too bright?
No, I like it.
Okay.
Do I look too bright?
It's turned all the way up.
My head is shining, but that won't be for much longer. Another couple months. I am hungry.
Think about lunch then?
I should eat a low glycemic lunch, which sounds horrible.
More tasty glycemia? What?
Trying not to get diabetes.
What? Oh, no.
Well, no, it's not like somebody said don't get diabetes. I just try not to.
Is the
Am I
trend
like prone?
that direction?
Yeah,
Does
the
your
trend's
mom have
definitely
it?
in direction. No, I have nobody in the family has it.
Oh, you're fine.
The
Don't
problem
worry
is
about
I'm
it.
fat. I'm old. And I have a tingling leg, which I think I went to the doctor and he said it's sciatica. He said, when did it happen? I said, well, New Year's Eve I did a lot of
Dancing.
lightsaber fighting.
And you're standing up.
And I stood up for 24 hours. He said, well, sciatica is often is a pinched nerve, and it happens when you do things you don't usually do.
Uh-oh.
So there was, what did I do? A lot of things. Bull riding, lightsaber fighting, yoga. I do yoga. I like yoga. No, yoga didn't do it. Zachary did not do this to me.
But you kicked
We
butt,
did.
right?
We had a stunt man showing me movie stunts. We had crazy dancers doing. I learned how to pop and lock.
Oh, show us. Maybe you better not. You'll
No,
sciatica
it was
all
bad.
backed up.
It was bad. But see, so that was what? That was 4 weeks ago. The doctors say, it'll take as few as 2 weeks and as long as 8 weeks. It's getting better, but it's still there. A little tingly. Like my leg is kind of a little bit asleep. And then, so that's another one indicator. Anyway, I'm what they used to call it pre-diabetic. Now they call it metabolic syndrome. My blood sugar, a little 95, a little high. You have to be over. I mean, I'm not in diabetic range, but this is why I shouldn't have a delicious sandwich. Italian wedding soup is rather good. All right, I'll have a large Italian wedding soup.
There you go.
How bad could that be?
It's very tasty and maybe slightly healthier, right?
Yeah, Dr. Mom's going to save me.
I always try to go for what I think is the healthier choice.
Yes.
But is also very satisfying.
And then only eat half of it.
And then you're nailing it with the soup. No, snarf it down.
I'm trying to eat low glycemic index foods. That's another good idea. Mostly, though, believe it or not, exercise is the #1 way to avoid this. So I'm trying to exercise, aerobic exercise, an hour a day. I rode for half an hour today and did a treadmill for about 10 minutes, but then Jeopardy was over, so I came to work. I met this guy in New Orleans. He said, I need $1. He said, would you give me $1 if I could tell you where you got your shoes at? And I said, you couldn't. What do you mean, my shoe? How would you know where I got my shoes? He said, no, I could tell you where you got your shoes at. Would you give me $1 if I could do that? I said, well, yeah. He said, you got them on your feet. So I gave him $1. Actually, I gave him a little more than $1. Just a tip. 88. when somebody comes up to you and says, I can tell you where you got them shoes, they can. It's no trick. So there you go. There's a very long and probably boring to most of you explanation of how routers work and why you sometimes really should pay attention to your router. It is your front line. It's actually technically what we call a firewall that protects you from the outside world. It's a great thing to have. And even the cheapest, junkiest consumer router is better than nothing. But best yet would be to have a router that is kept up to date, that doesn't have flaws and exploits. And there are a few that do. In fact, it's not just important for you, it's important for us as an internet community that you keep your router up to date. And I'll give you an example. You ever hear of Lizard Squad? They're a group of hackers who on Christmas Day, last month, 1 month ago, took down the PlayStation Network and the Xbox Network for a day. I mean, this is Christmas Day. There are kids and a few adults getting new PlayStations, new Xboxes. They're dying to get online and play them, and they can't. The servers are down because of Lizard Squad. And you know how they did it? I mean, these are just Lizard Squad. They're starting to arrest some suspects, actually. They've arrested one kid in Finland and another kid in Great Britain. And, you know, literally teenagers. They don't have all the bandwidth in the world. How would you bring down a giant network like Microsoft or Sony, you know, from your personal computer at home? Well, it turns out there's a flaw, a well-known flaw to hackers anyway, in many routers, hundreds of router manufacturers, hundreds of brands, that allows them to take over the routers and use them to attack another system, to what we call denial of service attack. And that's what Lizard Squad did. So many people, probably many of you, have routers with unpatched security flaws that allow hackers to take over your router, not attack you, attack others. The routers are computers, so they tell the router, send fake requests to the PlayStation Network repeatedly over and over again. And if you get, you know, a couple 100,000 routers together, easy peasy. Even a kid in, in Great Britain, a high school kid, can bring down the mighty Sony and Microsoft. So that's why internet security in general is not just your job for yourself. It's not just for your sake. It's for the sake of the community. I can go on and on with stories like that, but I won't because it's scary. And I want to scare anybody. Let's go to Don in Ashland, Oregon. Love Ashland. Hi, Don. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo. I'd like an introduction to Microsoft Office 365 in the cloud. Recommendations.
Don, meet Microsoft Office. Microsoft Office, meet Don.
Thank you very much.
Yes, I've introduced you. Yeah, I use it. I like it. It's actually a pretty good deal. Microsoft's for a long time wanted people to start paying subscription fees instead of just buying software once.
Right.
They would love you to pay a monthly fee. And there's been some resistance. I think that maybe that's what they plan to do with Windows 10 too. But there's been some resistance But on the other hand, if you've ever gone to the store to buy a Microsoft Office in a box, get ready for sticker shock. It's hundreds of dollars.
Yeah. So I work for a nonprofit, and they have a particularly good deal for nonprofits. But
I'd take them up on it. So
my concern is, would be on a Microsoft network.
Doesn't matter.
Our data would be stored on a Microsoft network, and if we also use non-Microsoft products
Doesn't
like
matter.
Adobe InDesign.
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
So I use Office 365 on a Mac. And Windows. If the various versions, and I don't know what they offer the nonprofits, the home version allows you to install 5 copies of Office. And you get not only the download, just like the old days, like Microsoft Word, you got in a box, you'd install it just like that. But you also get access to their web-based version of Office, which is very handy, and that'll work on anything, anywhere.
The one concern I have is I'm not too excited about the Exchange email.
You don't have to use that.
You
don't have to use that any more than you had to use it when you bought Office in a Box. Just think of this as Office in a Box.
Okay.
But instead of paying $600 up front, you pay $10 a month.
So the fact, I noticed on their website they do include business email, so I'm assuming they mean Exchange.
Well, that may be something they're offering. Okay, so this is what I didn't know is which package they offer the nonprofits. That sounds like they're offering you kind of an enterprise version of Office, which might include Exchange. But you're getting Microsoft Outlook, the Outlook email program, which will work with anything, including Gmail or whatever you want to work with.
In which case, would just ignore the Exchange.
Yeah.
I just maybe I'm wrong, but I'm just not too excited about Exchange. I like.
I don't blame you. That's a big commitment for an organization to move to Exchange.
Right, and I like having our current email. Is with the company that manages our website. So our website and the URL matches our email URL, and all of a sudden I'll have to change DNS.
You can do that. That's not so hard. I have to say Exchange has more features probably than the mail provided by your web host. However, if you're content with it, there's no reason why you can't use it. Outlook is Outlook. It's just like the Outlook that you're using today probably.
Okay.
And if you use webmail, you can use the internet service provider's webmail just the same in your browser. So that does not change.
Okay.
It's just something additional. What do you get? Let me look at the non-profit version of this because I'm curious now what they're offering. How much a month is it?
$2. Well, there's two. There's one that's $2 per user per month. There's one that's $4.50 per user per month. The $4.50 one has something I like. Well, I'm about the only one who really would want it. Maybe 2 or 3 of 30 of us, and that's Access. So I don't know if we'd all.
That's the database program. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
It'd be silly for everybody to pay more per month for 2 people to use Access. You'll have to do the math, but probably be cheaper just to buy Access separately for you two. But
that
you'd have
makes
to
a lot of sense.
Yeah, you'd have to do the math on that one. It sounds like they're giving $2 a month is a great deal. I pay $8 a month for the home version, and I think that's a great deal. By the way, with that, I don't know what the nonprofit version gives you, but with that as a home or any user of Office 365, you get unlimited storage on OneDrive. That's not a terabyte. That's not 2 terabytes. That's unlimited.
Well, yeah. Essentially, what they offer on, I'm looking at the chart right now. They give 1 terabyte per user, and that's essentially unlimited for us.
That's a lot. A terabyte's a lot per person. But even that, I think Microsoft's changing that, and they're just not saying a limit anymore. You just use as much as you need. Because you know what? Most people never get even close to a terabyte.
Yeah. I
So,
know I wouldn't, but I guess there's no problem, though. They asked what they have. Their nonprofit business premium, the $2 per user per month paid annually.
Boy, that's a great deal.
That has Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, Publisher, OneNote.
And you do get, which is a really good deal, Business Exchange, their email server. So that's, I presume, hosted by them. So you don't have to go there. So go there when you feel like it. And at some point you might want to because of the benefits of Exchange, document sharing and so forth. And I see that this is a great deal. Good on Microsoft for offering this to nonprofits. That's phenomenal.
Yeah, okay, that helps a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, don't get scared off. It's a kind of, even though you're paying, first of all, $2 a month. Come on. That's $24 a year. And that's nothing. Yeah. And then per person, obviously. And then and then think of it as a la carte. You use what you like. You don't have to use everything.
I mean, my approach would be, since I'm really hung up on Exchange, the current email we have like 30 users, and we just have 30 emails that are just like info or sales.
You don't want to mess with it. You don't have to. But you've got the capability down the road. And if somebody, you got some kid in there, an intern who got ambitious, he might say, hey, we can move you over to Exchange very easily. Look at all the features you'll get. And you go, well, I guess, it's free, so why not?
Well, I guess we really couldn't just move 1 or 2 people over to Exchange.
Sure you could. Well, you want to, the domain, you can't live in 2 places. So the domain is either on Exchange or is on your
right,
host.
It's either an all or nothing deal.
Yeah, it kind of is. I'm just saying, don't worry about it. Consider it an a la carte offering in which you've already purchased much more than you'll ever use.
That's what
it's a great deal. I can't believe it. I mean, literally, the home version is $8, and that you can't use in a business. I can't remember what the cheapest business is. I think it's $10. I think it's $120 a year. You're getting a great deal. All those features, and good on Microsoft. I think every company should do this kind of thing for nonprofits. That's fantastic. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888. Ask Leo. Wiggs is obviously a Firesign Theater fan. Oh, how can you be in two places at once when you're not anywhere at all? Our show today brought to you by, I'll tell you how, HipChat. I'm on HipChat all over the place. I have it up all the time on so at home, on my office, in my little home office, I got HipChat running at all times. I got HipChat here. I got HipChat here. I got HipChat everywhere on my tablets. HipChat what is HipChat, you might say, and why do you want it? We use HipChat Plus here at Twit. We got introduced to HipChat by our web design team, which uses it to keep their team on target, and because they're in Austin and we're up here, it's like an instant messenger, kind of. It's private chat, group chat, but it's so much more. In fact, HipChat Plus adds things like video chat, file code, and screen sharing. It's all in one place. It is really great, and it integrates. It's designed for teams that are getting work done, so it integrates with a bunch of other services, GitHub and Jira and Zendesk, but more, accounting services. It works with everything, and it allows you to be anywhere and still be working. Plus, everything you do is saved, forever, so you can go back in time. Works with Bitbucket and MailChimp. You use MailChimp for your mail. Works with HipChat. It's really great. We've been really having fun with HipChat. And right now, HipChat Plus, their paid version, is free to you for the next 30 days. Keep your team in sync from any device, anywhere. Secure? Yes. 256-bit SSL for everything. If Sony had used this instead of their email system, well, we wouldn't know so much about Angelina Jolie. This is the kind of thing you need. We liked it so much when we did it with the web design folks. Our engineering team's on it. Our sales team's on it. Soon hosts and producers will be on it. It's fun to use. It kind of has to be fun or people aren't going to use it, right? But it's very, very functional. I highly recommend it. I want you to try it free for 30 days. HipChat.com/techguy. Click the Start Chatting button, and you'll get 30 days of HipChat Plus free. Actually, for the first 100 signups today, 30 days extended to 90 days. You'll get. Don't tell anybody. This offer will not last very long today. But if you are one of the first 100, you'll get 90 days free of HipChat Plus. And then they have a freemium version. You don't have to pay for it after that. You'll obviously lose some of the features. But try them all. Get the idea of what everything HipChat can do. HipChat, HIPChat.com/techguy. Look at all the things it works with. This is the thing that put me over the top. This is why it's not just a messaging product. You can integrate it into all of the things you use, CRM systems and everything. Whew. Google Cloud. I think for a nonprofit, this would be fantastic. Honey Badger. You use Honey Badger. Some of these things are pretty fun. I don't know. PagerDuty. Yep. HipChat.com/techguy. You're going to look at all this. So cool. Yes, you can use HipChat with your website. I like it. I think you will too.
The hour from Premier Network.
I don't want soup. They're going to bring me soup right now. I don't want soup.
Sorry,
I want something full of carbs.
It's got lots of meatballs.
I do like the meatballs. The meatballs is a good for me. Thank you, John. You know what? This is good. Look at that.
Lots of vegetables.
It's good. It's like vitamin stew. Look at that. It's like vitamin stew. It is. People have always said soup is nutrient rich, and that's good for you. No, I can't go. It's Valentine's Day, Dr. Mom. I can't go to the National Nutrition Convention. Besides, I have far too much nutrition information already. I don't want any more. I'm confused enough.
Talk about a snooze fest. God.
It's the National
Sorry.
Nutrition Convention.
I mean, is there really anything new in nutrition?
Constantly. That's why it's so damn confusing.
We're eating the same vegetables and fruits we always have. I'd like to think.
That meatball's good. That's a good meatball. Soup tastes like a vitamin bomb exploding in my mouth.
I can't believe you said that. My girlfriend, everybody watch this show. Daphne has a show called Daphne Dishes on the Food Network. She's so cute and pretty and funny. And she used that same phrase on her first episode.
You know Daphne?
Brogdon?
Daphne Brogdon?
Peel?
You know her?
Yeah, and her famous husband, celebrity chef Mark Peel.
You're friends with Daphne?
Oh, she's like my best friend.
She dishes out the humor on the
There you go.
Food Network. She's a blogger, mom, and stand-up comic. Oh, man, I didn't know you knew her.
She's adorbs.
She's
was
great.
Adele's producer before I was.
You're kidding. So there is a future.
Meet mom and food blogger Daphne Brogdon.
Start of a beautiful friendship.
This stand-up comedian reveals her how-tos for dishing up family-friendly meals.
Comedy and food are similar.
I'm hungry.
You have to have the right beat. Food that only has one beat or one flavor note is boring. Nothing complex, like tying a shoe.
Brussels sprouts. And standing rib roast.
Doesn't say comfort. My middle name isn't Melvin.
Daphne Dishes. All new Sunday at noon.
Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk about tech, computers, the internet, home theater, smartphones, all that jazz. Digital photography, 8888 Ask Leo. I love to, I'm like the old guy who, on the house down the street, he sits on his porch, and if you ask him a question, you're going to get a 15-minute explanation. That's me. So just beware. You ask me, well, Leo, what about routers? And you're going to have 20 minutes on routers. So I warn you. I'm that guy. Well, let me tell you, back in '08, when I first discovered the Belkin, I was amazed. Heather Hammond, our phone ranger, she's answering the phone. She's preparing you for your appearance on national radio. That sound, even when I say that myself, it sounds kind of rinky-dink.
It's not grandiose enough.
On national radio.
We need more reverb.
Sounds like something from 1943. On the NBC Blue Network. Who should I take first?
We need to talk to Amy. I think she's flying down the freeway. Lovely weather in Newport Beach.
We better get to her quick before she gets there. Hi, Amy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. She flew down the freeway and she's gone.
I'm here.
Oh! Hi, Amy.
Hi. I have an iPhone 6.
Yes.
And whenever I send either a text message or I send an email with a video from my phone, the Android users are not able to open it.
What's the carrier that you're on? Who's your cell phone company?
AT&T.
Okay. And are the Android people also on AT&T?
It doesn't matter what.
Doesn't matter. Nobody's getting it.
Verizon.
Yeah.
Yeah. When they get it, it says that they can't open that type of file.
Oh, that's nice. I don't know why that is. I can get files from people on iPhones.
But no, not files, but specifically videos.
Yeah. You shoot a video, you send it to them, and their phone can't open it.
Right.
They must have just a junky old phone. Do they have older Android phones?
No, like new ones.
Yeah, I think this is an AT&T thing, and I think it's fixable.
Okay.
So the way that, text messages, short message system, SMS, is just text. Doesn't do any multimedia stuff like video or pictures. It's just text. iMessage, which you use, actually they call it messages now, but if messages doesn't, it's so I'll call it iMessages. You'll understand what I'm talking about. iMessages was Apple's text messaging system. Does some interesting and maybe not such great things. For one thing, if you're messaging somebody on an iPhone, it doesn't use carrier SMS. It uses the data plan. It uses internet. And so it has no trouble sending not only text, but video and audio. In fact, that's that really nice thing on iMessages on your iPhone 6 where you slide it up and you can start recording. And then and that's so cool. And it just sends it, saves you a lot of typing. But that only works with other iPhone users or Apple Mac users. They all have to be using Apple's own messaging system. So if you're setting to Android, you're using SMS, text only, because they don't have messages. In order to send them a video or a picture, it has to use MMS, which is the multimedia system. And normally, you shouldn't have any trouble. MMS is a standard across all carriers. AT&T supports it. I do this all the time with AT&T and regular and Verizon and everybody else to other Android devices and stuff. So what it is probably is that the MMS on your phone is misconfigured. So it's a simple thing to go into the Apple store or an AT&T store and say, look, see, I sent this. Get an Android phone. Let me send you a message. And they'll say, oh, yeah, your MMS isn't working. Now, it's possible you don't pay for MMS. In some people's systems may not pay for MMS, but I'm going to presume anybody modern is paying for MMS.
But it also happens when I email them. If I take the file from my phone, the video, and I email it.
Oh, that's another matter.
To their email, when they try to open it on their Android, it's the same thing. It doesn't recognize the type of file.
Okay, so this is another issue entirely. So the first thing is make sure you're properly provisioned for MMS in your AT&T store, your Apple store can check that. The other is the MMS is enabled. However, that shouldn't make any difference in email. Does it give you an error message? Is the file too big?
It says it cannot open that type of file.
So it goes out fine. And if you email it to yourself, can you see it?
Yeah, I can see it.
So, and Apple does not record in some sort of weird form. It records a standard form that any phone should be able to pay back. So I am a little puzzled.
They said if they save it to Google Drive and then they can open it through Google Drive, it works.
Okay.
But they cannot open it.
They can't open it on their phone.
Right.
Well, everything you just described would be an incompatible video format, but I don't have an iPhone to hand here, but I don't think the iPhone 6 records in an oddball format. It's a format that anybody, but that's why I asked if they have modern Android phones. Older phones would go, what is this H.264? I don't know what this is. But any modern phone should be able to read an H.264 video, which is what Apple is recording. So I'm puzzled. I think you need somebody to look at your settings in your phone and make sure everything's set properly. Gosh, I do this all the time. It shouldn't be an issue. Now, if you use something like WhatsApp or some other messaging system to send to your friends, does it work then? Have you tried that?
The only way they can open a video is if you post it on Facebook, and then they can see it.
Yeah, and what kind of phone do they have?
Do
you know? Just a late model Android.
Samsung, like Samsung.
Okay. Yeah, that should be able to do it. I think the first thing you need to do is get your phone checked at AT&T store. I think it's not. One thing you could do is make sure that you have now on iPhones. I'm not sure how you do this, but you want to make sure you've got the latest updates from the carrier to something called your APN. I think that there's something wrong with your settings.
Well, it also happened on my iPhone 4 and 4S.
When you take pictures, you're just using the camera app that's provided by Apple, right?
Right.
You're not using some other.
It's not pictures. It's only videos. They can see pictures.
Pictures they can see. It's only videos. That's odd. Because the video is in a format that was originally kind of Apple only, but has become very standard. That is odd. I don't know what's going on, to be honest with you, and I think it is. Go to settings, general, about, trigger an update. Make sure that you've got the settings properly set for your AT&T phone. Okay. And there's something going wrong in the video recording that should be easily seen on any up-to-date Samsung phone, a Galaxy S4, S5, a Galaxy Note. As long as you're using, the standard Apple camera, You're recording. I don't think Apple lets you record in any oddball formats. Baffling. And I'm looking at the chat room because they're giving me suggestions, and they're baffled too. I don't know. Not unusual for me to be baffled. I'm not saying that. This stuff's complicated. I would take it to the AT&T store and say, because I think it's an AT&T issue. I really do. Do email. Somebody's suggesting, and I think this is a good idea, that you email a video to yourself. See if you can play it on your home computer. And then get the info about that file and see if what it is. It should be an MOV file, I believe, an H.264. Let me just, I'm looking at the Apple. I do have an iPad. It just seems like this should not be a problem. And I do it, and I know a lot of people do it. So I got to think it's an AT&T issue. 8888 Ask Leo. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. If you got a good suggestion, you can tell me or go to our website, techguylabs.com, and add it in the comments. Maybe we'll help Amy that way. Leo Laporte here. I'm going to send a video to my Android device. I have taken a recording of a video on my iPad. And it's a fascinating video I've recorded here. And I am now going to share it. I'll share it several ways. I'll share it via mail. I don't have mail set up on here. Is that ridiculous or what? Is that silly or what? All right. Can I SMS? No, because this is an iPad. Settings, messages, turn on MMS. Yeah, I don't think it's .mov. I think it is .mp4. It's a. Let me just look here. It's an H.264. It should not be an issue. Well, anyway, here. Let's do this in messages. Messages can be sent between iPhone, iPad. If this is another iMessage issue. All right.
But you said there was the same problem when you emailed the file.
Yeah, I know, which is weird, right? That doesn't make any sense. All right, new message to Leo. I'm going to send it to myself, and I'm going to send it to me on my mobile. Oh, I don't know if I could do it via, I think I have to do it via the... I guess I can do it via mobile. All right. And I'm going to take the camera. Let's see. Here's the message. Oh, see, it won't let me. I guess I have to email it. All right. Now take a photo or a video. Let's shoot a video. Fascinating video of this. Okay. Use that video. Send. All right, it's now sending a large, stupid video. You think it's too big? Maybe it's just too big, huh? Shouldn't it warn her that it's too big? Settings, messages, MMS, that does have to be turned on. The APN has to be properly configured. It's a very great puzzle, but... All right, just sent that out via iMessage. And now let's see. If I can play it back. Odd by. Come on, email. Come on. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number. I'm sending myself videos from my iPad and all that stuff just to see what's going on. It should all work. Unless, and there is one issue, maybe the video is too big. Some phones won't play back giant videos. I just don't know. I am puzzled by the whole thing. But if you know, you call me. 8888, ask Leo, toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Jim's on the line from Yorba Linda, California. Hi, Jim. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo. I have an interesting situation. Got an iPhone 5, serviced through Verizon, and about 6 to 8 weeks ago, got a notice from Verizon saying excessive usage of data, and the data costs went up by about $200 to $300 per month.
Oh.
Yeah, it gets better. Typically, the use on that phone is 1 to 2 gigabytes a month.
What do you pay for? Do you know what you pay for?
Still, I paid for what?
How much data do you pay for?
That I don't know. I don't have all the details with me.
That's kind of critical because...
but quite a bit. I mean, we pay for much more than we use by a long shot. We're never even close. We just don't use that much data. So all of a sudden, it just skyrockets, and we're paying, a few $100 more a month. So obviously got on the phone right away with Verizon, actually went into a store first. They had absolutely no idea what was going on. Went to level 1 and level 2 with Verizon, spent 2.5 hours on the phone the first time, and has so far spent about 25 hours on the phone with these people at Verizon. And they say, we can't figure out what's going on. All we know is it shows that you're using data like crazy.
Okay,
so
but I need some numbers. I need to know how much data you're using. What do they say?
Okay, they're saying that we're using up to 1 gigabyte a day, and before this happened, we were using less than 2 gigabytes a month.
Yeah, and I understand your question is what could be using all this data. So if you were using 30 gigabytes a month, that could get pretty expensive.
Yes, indeed.
And how many people are on this account? Is it a shared account, shared data plan?
One person using one phone.
Just you.
Well, it's actually my girlfriend, but for the sake of simplicity, I'm just referring.
Well, let's say it's your girlfriend.
Okay.
Does your girlfriend watch Netflix?
Absolutely not.
Does she stream audio? Does she listen to Pandora?
She listens to Pandora, but very, very little. And Verizon was able to go back on the history of the account and look at exactly what was used. And they agree, yes, we do not see any change in your behavior in data usage, but we do show that it keeps charging you, and we don't know why. And they're trying to blame it on the phone.
Well, so first of all, what kind of phone is it?
It's an iPhone. It's a iPhone 5.
So there is in the settings a usage meter that Apple provides. The usage meter is always interesting because it's what the phone thinks it's using. It may not correspond to what Verizon says, but first thing I would do is go to the usage meter on the phone and see what it says.
We did that with Verizon. We've done everything. We've gone through all.
Did the usage meter on the phone agree with what Verizon was saying?
No, the usage meter is off the charts, and Verizon will say, "Well, we don't show."
I need you to be more specific. What does the usage meter say? I don't know what off the charts means. It's very high.
Oh yes, it's saying.
Is it the same as Verizon's usage? What is the usage meter saying?
The usage meter is saying, for example, on the 2.5-hour call with Verizon, the usage meter on the phone said we used a 0.5 gigabyte of data in that period of time.
Okay. And for the total month, what did the usage meter say?
It's saying, I think the highest month was 25 gigabytes.
So it's agreeing with Verizon.
Well, but Verizon says, yes, it shows that you're using the data, but when we go through all of your history, we don't see what is causing it. It doesn't show up.
I understand what your question is. I'm asking you questions to help me narrow this down.
Sorry.
So your phone and Verizon both say you're using as much as a gigabyte a day.
That is correct.
Yeah. You don't have a hotspot turned on the phone.
No, we do not. We went through every single setting that could possibly have caused us, and we even went through a factory reset with Verizon to totally reset the phone to factory standards.
And, I mean, so Verizon doesn't know, well, I hope they don't know what apps you're using at any given time. If they knew that, I'd be very unhappy.
Yeah, they just asked a bunch of questions.
All they should be able to see is that it's like a PG&E meter spinning. They should see the data meter spinning, but they would not necessarily know what it is that's using. They might be able to see the end point. If it's so, there are things that can use a gigabyte of data. Streaming video can, and that includes YouTube. Does she watch a lot of cat videos?
No, not at all. I mean, the 90% of what she uses that phone for is texting and phone calls. Now, what also is interesting about this, since this happened, she cannot receive incoming phone calls. She can phone out, but she cannot receive incoming phone.
You know what that tells me? That the data is constantly on. That's interesting.
Okay, so how in heaven's name do we get that turned off? Nobody can turn it off.
Well, one thing I would try is turn the phone off.
Which we've done several times, but we'll do it again.
But just leave it off for a day.
For a day.
And then go back and see if any data was used.
Okay.
If it was, then it ain't the phone.
Okay.
So that's the first thing I'd do.
Right.
And then that means somehow somebody is tapping into the network and using your phone number as data. So the
that's
first,
what I think is happening. There was somebody who had access to the account long ago, and then we're thinking possibly that person may still have access to the account.
A sure way to test this would be to turn the phone off and leave it off. I mean, not turn the screen off, but press and hold the on-off button until it says slide to power down, and I would slide it to power down and then wait a day. Call Verizon before you're going to do it and say, look, we want to see if there's any data being used. I'm going to turn it off for a day, and I'll call you back 24 hours from now. Look at the usage meter on the phone. You know, the usage meter on the phone sounds like it's corresponding, which is interesting. I mean, the usage meter on the phone measures phone usage. So the fact that it's showing 25 gigabytes in a month sounds to me like it's something on the phone. I don't know what it could be. You did wipe the phone? You did a complete reset?
Yes, twice.
Twice? You didn't reinstall. Now, maybe the thing to do is to do a reset and not reinstall apps, not restore the phone, but leave it in the pristine from the factory state.
Okay.
Maybe there is an app. I don't know what this app could be. It is conceivable that there is a rogue app on there somehow that is using data. I would also check to make sure that you're using the telephony network for phone calls, not data network. And I'm not sure. Boy, in the usage, you can actually, now that I think of it, look at individual app usage. Can you not in data? Hold on a sec. We got to take a break. Let me look at that on my device here and see. And I'll get back to you right after this. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. So you go into your cellular. I wish I had an iPhone in front of me. I got to start bringing the iPhone to work. You go to the cellular settings. So there's the data usage, but now there's also the cellular thing. And you can see cellular usage, data usage, and then you can scroll down and you can see what's using what. This is going to be the key on here. You have an iPhone there? Let's look at it on the. This is iOS 7, so I want to see what it does on the iOS 8. So we go to settings. Whoops. Cellular. And cellular data network. Is that right? No, that's the APN. Here it is. Cellular data usage, current period. Oh, yeah, there it is. So John's used 3.7 megabytes. And here is the things that you use data for. And the things that have used data, there will be a little number underneath. So you can actually look and see how much data each app has used. So I think this is going to be the key for you to doing a little detective work. Yeah, you could, if you wanted to keep using the phone, you don't have to turn it off. You could have put it in airplane mode. That's a good point. It's Beef Team saying, and this is certainly possible, that the ESN of the phone has been cloned and that somebody else is using it. that somebody is using it. But here's what puzzles me on that it shouldn't show up as usage on the phone. Yeah, even if an update were stuck or whatever, it's not going to be a gigabyte a day. I think the most likely is that somebody's cloned his identifier and is using it as his internet access. And he's watching a lot of Netflix. It's easy with Netflix to go over a gigabyte a day. That's trivial. The thing on that though is that should not show up in the phone as data usage. I don't think. Maybe it would. So Jim, get ready because you don't have I guess you don't have the phone in your hands, but I'm gonna walk you through a thing. If you had the phone, this would be good. Chat room's been great. The chat room is flowing with ideas. I think, though, the iPhone, when it's showing usage in its settings, it's not getting that information from the network. It's getting it from the phone. That's coming right from the phone's watching the usage. In fact, they even say this may not match what your carrier tells you. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. We're doing a little detective work here. I feel like Backstrom. Jim is on the line from Yorba Linda, and his girlfriend's iPhone is using exorbitant amounts of data, according to Verizon, a gigabyte a day. Jim, there is a part in the settings of your phone. I take it you don't have the phone with you right now.
I don't have the phone with me, but I was listening to you, and we actually were able to go through all the apps to see what the usage was, and they were all very, very low.
But did it say, so if you go to settings, general cellular data, you can actually look at the cellular data usage. Did it say the total cellular data usage was like 25 gigabytes?
Yes, it did.
And it didn't, but no app was using a significantly large portion?
Correct.
And at the bottom where it says services, that wasn't big either?
No, it was not, if I remember correctly.
That's very interesting. That tells me that the phone itself is not the culprit. And I would say that my suspicion is the phone's ESN has been cloned.
Okay.
And that somebody is using that, is acting as if they have that phone and using it for their home internet access. It'd be easy if you're watching Netflix every night to go over a gigabyte a day.
Yes, it would.
So I think there's something going on there. Now, what I would do is I'd suggest calling Verizon and say, I want to change the ESN on this phone. It may have to trade the phone in to do that. I don't know if it's hardwired in.
Okay.
But it may just be the SIM itself. The data SIM has to be replaced. My suspicion is that's all that has to be done. You could do that at a Verizon store quickly.
Okay.
In fact, that might be the real thing to do is just go do that. So a couple of things. You could do a diagnostic. Actually, you don't even have to turn the phone off. Somebody in the chat room said, you just put it in airplane mode. That would work. Same thing.
Okay.
That would turn off any data usage. And if it continues, then it's not your phone, but somebody is basically impersonating your phone.
Mm-hmm. Got it.
That's our best guess, Jim, and I got a pretty big brain trust here in the chat room. So good luck.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I hope Verizon's helpful on this. In fact, the thing is, cloning ESNs is not common at all. It takes some real sophistication, especially nowadays. I thought it was impossible. Frankly, it was very common in the analog days, but in these digital days, I thought it was impossible. But hackers are good. So it's an interesting question. Don't know. Ivan, Salt Lake City, you're next. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Ivan.
Hey, Leo, how you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm pretty good. I have a Windows 8 laptop, Alienware M14, that I've been trying to update to 8.1 for months now. And every time I try to update it, it'll go through downloading the update, beginning the installation, backing up all the files. In the middle of the update, it'll cut to an error screen, which I can't read the error number because it stays on for 2 seconds, and then it just restores to backup.
That is frustrating.
And it does it every time, and I have a limited data use because I'm over the road. I'm a truck driver. Limited data use, and this downloads 2 or 3 gigs at a time, and it kills my data when I try to do this.
Yeah. So first of all, the key to Windows 8.1, which is a must-have update and a great update, is that you have to have done all the other updates first to Windows 8.0. You've done that, I take it.
Yeah, everything's up to date.
Up to date. And then you go to the Windows Store. This is where the 8.1 update lives, in the store. and it says, hey, good news, you can install the update. You download it from the store, and boom, it doesn't work. So do you have, how much free space do you have on there?
On my actual laptop, I don't use any space to keep my files. I have an external 1 terabyte hard drive.
So there's plenty of space left on the inside drive?
It's still a brand new hard drive. All it has is the firmware and the essential program files. Everything else is on my external. It's a 500 gigabyte hard drive, and there's maybe like, I want to say 400 gigs left or so.
So in the old days, and I'm sure this is the case with Windows 8.1, although because they're pushing this in such a weird way through the Windows App Store, I'm going to have to check. But in the old days with updates, there was the traditional way of updating, you know, just what you're doing right now, which is you run the updater and it updates. But for network administrators, you could download the file once by itself and install it. And I don't know if you can do that with Windows 8.1, but I bet you can. So this is going to be, you know, in other words, instead of using the automatic update, download the file. First of all, that'll solve the problem of having to download it again and again. You'll have it. You know, and if it fails, at least you won't have to re-download it.
Okay.
So I am going to have to punt on this one to the chat room, and maybe they can do some research for me and find out. You know, in any other Windows update, it's no problem. You just go into Windows Update and you look at the network updates, and you can get any file, just download it, put it on a USB key, bring it to another computer. It's designed for businesses where they have 100 seats. They don't want to download that 100 times. They want to download it once and then just go from machine to machine. And there should be a way to do that. It does sound like the update is bad or broken. There are ways to unstick the update and start over again. Create installation. Yeah, this might be the solution. We'll put this in the show notes. Thank you, Mike B. There's a Microsoft page on create installation media for Windows 8.1 that would let you create you need a 4 gig flash drive. It would let you create a flash drive with Windows 8.1 on it. In fact, there's a button right on this page. So if you could Google create installation media for Windows 8.1, and there's a button right on the page that actually says create media. And it'll do it. It'll run through it. You could also put it on a DVD if you wished. But I think it's easiest to put it on a flash drive. And the reason that's the way to do it is then you won't at least use up any more space. We'll also put a link in the show notes, thanks to Mark Canales in the chat room, to the direct download. Besides this, the direct download for Windows 8.1 update. So if you download that, it's KB2919355. So you could also download that. So there's two links we'll put you in the techguylabs.com. One is kind of a automated system that will create a bootable drive, et cetera, with the update. The other is just the file itself. At least this way you'll download it once. You may still get that error message, and if you do, then there are places to go to figure out how to unstick the update. It's not unusual with Windows Update. But my experience has been this works better than the automatic update, and you may not get the error message.
Cool. Sweet. I appreciate it, Leo. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thanks to the chat room, as always. They're brilliant. They're good. They know this stuff. Dave in Merced, California. Hi, Dave.
Hello, Leo. Thank you for allowing me to join you on the front porch this morning. Hopefully you can answer a couple questions for me.
Sure, I'll be glad to. You want to play checkers?
Unfortunately, I'm not as close of friends to Scott Wilkinson as you are, and I've got a new television set. I'm wondering if there's any commercial-grade calibration type software or equipment that I could use to calibrate a new set.
Yes, there is. Now, Scott often says calibration is a big deal. Of course, remember, he is a calibrator, so he's got an investment in it being a big deal, but I agree with him. If you buy a fancy new big screen TV set, it's certainly worth it to get it calibrated. The problem is a professional calibrator is going to cost you $200 or $300. But they come out not just with software, but with specialized hardware that looks at the screen, takes a picture of the screen and matches it up, and they do a bunch of stuff. You can get 90% of the way yourself.
Okay.
So there are a couple of things that are very handy. You, of course, won't have the hardware to look at the screen. You'll have to do this with your eyeballs. First thing to do is put the TV in movie mode right away.
Okay.
Television sets are set by default from the factory to be in a showroom mode, which is bright and unusually colorful, because that's how people like it, and they'll be more likely to buy. So you want to get it out of that dynamic or showroom mode and put it in movie mode. That'll help a lot. I'll talk about what's next right after this. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hey, our show today brought to you by Gazelle, which is, yes, a horned ungulate that runs through the velds of Africa, but that's not the gazelle I'm talking about. I'm talking about Gazelle, the place to sell your gadgets, a fast and easy way, the place to get cash on the barrelhead for that old gadget that's really right now just collecting dust in a drawer. You wouldn't throw $100 bills in the drawer to collect dust, would you? Well, why would you do that with your old iPhone or Samsung Galaxy or your BlackBerry or your Motorola or Nokia or Samsung phone? Well, you wouldn't do that with your iPad. You can get money. You got a Microsoft Surface, they'll give you cash money for it. iPods, Apple computers, Apple TVs, Apple displays, Gazelle. Nice thing is you can go there and get a quote. No obligation. That quote's good for 30 days. It's locked in. So you have a month to decide, maybe get the new gadget, set it up. If you got a gadget for the holidays, you got a new phone or a new tablet, and you threw the old one in a drawer, don't go to Gazelle. It's also a great place to go if you lose your phone. Yes, this is great. Gazelle now takes the very best devices that they get and will sell them. They put them through a rigorous 30-point inspection, make sure they're fully functional, and then they'll sell them back to you at a very good price. And there are two conditions, either certified like new, which is, like in the box. People actually sell stuff at Gazelle that they got and they just never used and didn't like. Or certified good, which is just, some gentle signs of wear. But it'll save you even more money. And of course, certified pre-owned devices are backed by a 30-day risk-free return policy. So if you don't like it, if there's anything wrong, you just return it. And Gazelle will do that gladly. Get paid in cash for your old stuff within a few days. You can get a cash check, PayPal, or they'll do the Amazon gift card if you like Amazon, and they'll even bump that up by 5%. Gazelle's paid out now almost $200 million to over 1 million customers, and all of them very happy. Free shipping, fast processing. They'll wipe the data if you forget to, and now you can buy too. Gazelle, Gazelle.com. Take a look. You're going to love it. I guess that's AZ Wheels. You're welcome. Chat room is so good. And then Blu-ray, DVD Essentials is the one I recommend. You can also download a set of calibrating files from AVS Forums. So I'll show you that. But if you go to videoessentials.com, this is Joe Kane. He makes a DVD, a Blu-ray, that is $40 and will walk you. It has a bunch of test screens and stuff, and walk you through that so that you can see. And then but you have to eyeball it. You don't have the hardware, but you can eyeball it. And I think you can get pretty far with your own. And you know what? You're trying to tune it to your eyeballs anyway. And then let me find the AVS forum. TV calibration files. This comes from HD Nation, I guess. Yeah. So this is that. I'll give you the link for that as well. Isn't that great? So this is very similar to what Joe's doing. So let's give you the link to that. Put this in the chat room for James DeRuvo. And then, of course, the other one is the Joe Kane Digital Video Essentials. There you go. take your TV from whoa to whoa. Whoa. Whoa, dude. I have to say, though, so I have Scott calibrated 2 TVs for me. He calibrated my Panasonic Viera Plasma, and it looked very different. That was a big difference. And at first I thought, this is kind of dull and ugly. Like I was watching football, and the grass was like actually grass color instead of neon green. But once I got used to it, it was definitely much more realistic. And then the OLED TV, the Samsung OLED, the very expensive one, he did calibrate, didn't make any difference. He said, this one actually is out of the box pretty good. He said, we didn't have to adjust it much. So, yeah, THX is another. Scott actually is actually a THX certified installer or calibrator. Reality is boring. Here's a few of them. We could put these all in the show notes. These are great. I did not turn. Actually, I accidentally reset it, Poppy. You're right. I accidentally pressed the wrong button and said, Scott, give me the settings again. Oh, I love naan. No more baking for me, though. No more. Well, what you're really trying to do in calibration is to make your television set match the reference monitors that the filmmaker or the television guy is using so that you're getting what they want you to get. Now, that may be more real and maybe less real. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. We're talking to Dave in Merced. Just got a new TV. Wants to have it look as good as it can. And let me talk about calibration a little bit. The idea is that you want your set to match the standard that the filmmakers are using or that the people who make the TV shows are using, because you want your set to look like what they created. Now, that may be more realistic or less realistic. You just want it to match the standard. That's your goal here. In fact, my experience, Scott Wilkinson came to my house and calibrated 2 TVs for me. One of them, my Plasma, when I got home, it looked very different. I thought, this is kind of dull. The grass is not the neon green that I'm used to when I watch football games. But then I realized after I watched it for a while, not only did I get used to it, but that's actually more accurate. So sometimes accuracy and pleasure are not the same. Our eyes like bright, vivid, saturated colors. That's why the showroom settings are brighter and more vivid. We're more likely to buy that TV. When you get it home, though, if you really want, especially movies, if you really want to have the motion picture experience, you do want to calibrate the set so that it isn't, popping out at you all the time, that it's what the filmmaker wanted. So, best, of course, to hire a calibrator. I have to admit, Scott made a big difference, but I think you can do most of it. In fact, I'd say you get 70% of the way there just by putting it in movie mode, turning off that showroom mode. Next thing you can do if you want to get more ambitious is get a calibration disc. If you go to Joe Kane's website, which is videoessentials.com, he sells for $40 a Blu-ray DVD that has test patterns on it. And these and explanations of how to use them. This is the kind of thing that somebody like Scott Wilkinson, our home theater guy, will use, but you'll be eyeballing it instead of using a machine, but that's fine. I think really it's your eyeballs that are going to watch the show. If you want to save money and you're kind of more of a do-it-yourselfer, the AVS forum where Scott works has a set of these calibration videos free for download. You can do this too, and these are really great too. They're very similar to Joe Kane's, maybe fewer instructions, but you'll get the idea. We'll put links to both in our website, which is techguylabs.com, so you can download them. In fact, we have a few others. There are a number of other Blu-ray and DVD discs that do this kind of thing. And great. Yeah, this is actually, the instructions on this are pretty complete. They give you every idea, a lot of what you need to know. And I think this, with all due respect to the people who do such a great job calibrating TVs, you could probably do it well enough yourself.
Very good.
All right? But I do recommend doing it. It makes a big difference. Really does. And don't be discouraged if at first you say, or your wife comes in and says, "Gosh, what'd you do to the TV, honey? It's so boring." It's because it's like candy, We're used to eating really sweet candy. And when you stop eating candy, at first it's like, oh, stuff is boring, but then you start to taste more stuff, and your eye adjusts, and suddenly you realize this is better. This is better. Dave that was Dave. Let's go to Terry in Riverside, California. Hi, Terry. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo. Thanks. I have a Epson printer that prints and scans just fine if I use the Windows 7 operating system and use their program to scan.
Yeah.
Only problem is I can't get a PDF file out of that. So if I go to the programs and hit the Epson program in my program files and hit Epson scan, an error message come up saying, cannot communicate with the scanner. Make sure the scanner is on, correctly set up and connected. Not only was I using the Wi-Fi, but I also hooked the wire up, and still I can't.
Same thing, huh?
Go. Yes.
Huh. Which model printer is it?
It is WF3540.
Oh, yeah, I have that one. Great printer. That's the old Workforce Pro.
Yeah, it works fine, except I can't get a PDF out of it when I scan.
Yeah, I mean, I was using it with a Mac most of the time, so and with no problem getting PDFs. It actually sounds like there's something wrong. You're supposed to be able to get a PDF. You could always get something like a PDF creation program. Like Foxit Pro or Adobe's Acrobat, and that would also talk to the printer. But it sounds like maybe the driver got damaged or corrupted. So I would go to the Epson site and make sure you have the latest software for that model printer. Have you done that?
Yes, I have.
Okay. And it didn't fix it?
I just did it again. No, I just did it again yesterday.
Yeah. But in every other respect, the scanner works. It's just the only thing you can't do is a PDF.
Well, yeah, the scanner works fine if I use the Windows 7 program.
Oh, I see. It's the Epson program that doesn't work.
Correct.
Yeah. You have uninstalled that, I presume.
Yes.
Yeah, and reinstalled, and it's still broken.
It and cannot communicate with scanner. And
how odd is that?
Going, why?
How odd is that?
Yeah.
So the Microsoft driver is working just fine. And does the Microsoft driver allow you to create PDFs? Probably not.
No.
Yeah. No. So that's kind of... Quackadam is saying in the chat room, I never had the problem, so I don't know how to fix it. He says, have you done it from the front panel of the printer? Start with the printer instead of the computer.
No.
Try that, because you can actually, using it's kind of cool. It's kind of like a Xerox machine. You do to the front panel, and you say, scan to PDF. See if that works.
Oh, I never tried that.
Yeah. Okay. The new ones, which I really like, I just upgraded. The new ones have a nice feature where they'll scan to the cloud. They can scan to Dropbox, Google Drive. And so what I now do when I need a scan is I just scan it as a PDF to Google Drive, and that makes it available everywhere, which is really handy.
If I could scan it to a PDF, I'd try that.
Yeah.
I'll try the front of the printer.
It sounds like the software's corrupted, and sometimes when software's messed up, even uninstalling and reinstalling doesn't fix it because something in the registry or some DLL is still there and isn't getting uninstalled. I just don't know. You want to remove, if you can, under Add remove not only the program, but just remove the printer entirely. Start from as if you never had that printer, and see if that'll get it to work. Sometimes you can get such corrupted software that it can't, even reinstalling doesn't replace the stuff you need to replace. But do try the front panel and see if that works anyway. That might be a workaround.
Okay, I'll try that. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Terry. Marilyn in Orange, Leo Laporte. I'm sorry, is it Mary? Mary in Orange.
Mary, hi. How are you?
I'm great. How are you, Mary?
And I learned so much from you. I listen to you all the time, but I never called your show before. But
I'm kind of like always here. You don't have to call, but if you ever need to, I'm just here waiting.
Here I am. I'm calling now. So,
yep.
Okay, this is a deal. I have a Note 4 phone, and I bought a new car. I bought a Scion, and I have my Bluetooth hooked up to my it's a Pioneer Scion. It's a radio Bluetooth.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's fine. It works great.
Yay.
The thing is when I'm driving and I want to use my Google Maps and a navigator, it won't go on. The sound won't go on. It's off because
you've taken over the sound. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Really? It says
the ideal would be so your car has maps in it. Is that what you're saying? That your car navigation is not working? No, you're talking about in the Note.
The phone, the Note 4, yeah.
I see. So you're listening to music on the Note 4. Ideally, what would happen if you're using Google Maps is the music would lower. It would say, turn left now, now, now. And then the music would come back as you turn left rapidly. But what you're getting no audio at all.
Yeah, it says that, for hearing, it's not good to have it up so loud or something. You know what I mean?
I know. I hate that message. I'm deaf already. I just want to turn it up. Do you mind? It says that every time. You're going to hurt it's like become a nanny. You're going to damage your hearing if you think that, why do you allow it? Well, we just want to warn you, but you can do it now.
No, it won't let me do it. It won't let me do it.
Yeah. Oh, it says, we're already too loud. I think it's probably, I'm going to look at Google Maps, but I think it's probably a setting in Google Maps or a setting on the Note 4's sound settings. I remember there's like a checkbox, I think, that says, play it over the music. Although Dr. Mom is saying she's got a Note 4 and she had that problem, and the best way to fix it is to start over with the Scion. Tell the Scion, forget this phone and do it again.
What do you mean?
I don't know. No. Okay, so you have in your Scion, you have a list of phones that you've paired with.
Oh, right.
Yeah, go in there and say, forget that one. Delete this phone and delete it on your phone and start. In other words, start over with the pairing is one suggestion. I don't know if that's what I would recommend. There is a setting, I think, in Google Maps. Let me go look about muting the navigation settings. See, voice level. Okay. In the navigation settings, there's a voice level, and you can have it set louder or softer. You've had it set all the way to the loudest?
No, it won't let me, and it goes halfway.
Oh, it says, no, I won't do it. You're deaf. Well, let me keep looking. We got to take a break. I'll answer on the air, Mary. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. You're deaf. So this is actually in the Google Maps. In navigation settings in Google Maps, voice level, there's softer, normal, louder. And so I'm not talking about just turning it up on the side here. I've told you before how much I love it. I'm talking about actually doing it in the maps. And I wonder if somebody said, and I seem to remember that, there's a separate audio setting too, but I don't see that. Yeah, Waze will do that. I use, there's a variety of maps besides Google Maps. I use Here. I was mentioning I love the Here maps because you can download them and use them offline. So if you've got, one of the problems with Google Maps is as soon as you lose 3G or 4G, you got nothing. But these maps, because I downloaded them, it's just like a Garmin or something. Epson scanner issue with Windows 7. Could you put that in the show notes? That might be the solution there, huh? Oh boy, they got a lot of chat room at it again. I encouraged them, and now they're going crazy with answers here. Help! Epson scanner has stopped working. Epson support says it's Windows. Answer. Turn Windows firewall off or on. So sometimes, I should have asked. Sometimes security software will get in the way of stuff. So that's a suggestion. Did not fix it. Okay. Does that Epson feature in the Abby Fine Reader? If so, uninstall it. I don't know. Did not solve the problem. Okay. So let's put this whole thread in the show notes. Didn't work. There's 3 pages of this. I hope at the end it says, hey, that worked. Let's go to the end. Wow. I fixed the same problem by typing services.msc. When services appear, I open by clicking on it. From there, I scroll down to find shell hardware detection. It was disabled. Why? Why? I don't know if this is useful, this thread, but there you have it. And anyway, let's see the Google thing. Play.google.store, what? A2DP volume. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I showed that one. Oh, what's this one?
Navigation. You have to start navigation. There's a separate.
Oh, there's a mute button. So unmute the mute button. There's a mute button once you start navigating. And then there's this, which lets you turn it up even louder. Wow, look at this. This looks good.
That's the hour.
Put this in the show notes. A2DP volume. So A2DP is the stereo audio that you're hearing in your car. It would be music, but it would also be the navigation. Correct? So this allows you, this is good. Does a bunch of stuff. Wow, that's free. So A2DP volume. Let's put a link to the show notes in that for that. Wow, the chat room is just coming up with stuff. Coming up with stuff like crazy. Yeah, I love Waze, but it's kind of ugly. I'm kind of becoming a fan of here. So that A2DP. All right. Hearman from Raymond Thoth. Nice to see you again, Mr. Raymond Thoth Jr. Here is this troubleshooting voice navigation issues. So let's get all of these, if we can, James, get all of these in the show notes. Make sure voice guidance is not muted. So you have to do it during navigation, and Burke showed me this. So let's try it. Okay, Google. Okay, Google. Navigate to the White House, Washington, D.C.
Navigating to the White House.
All right. So now we're in navigation, and I'm going to use maps. I could use here, but this time I'll use maps. And then, yes, I know it's in beta. It's been in beta forever. Yeah,
Head south on Telephone Alley toward Western Avenue.
Thank you. Now, in settings, see this mute? There's a mute button. Make sure that's unchecked. Traffic satellite. I don't know what that means. Oh, I guess I could say. And I want to see traffic, right? Heck yeah. But not mute. Then from there, you can go to settings and turn up your voice level. Maybe that's it. Huh. I guess I won't go to the White House after all. Ooh, voice updates. It works. Loquacia says it works. Oh, no, I just got to navigate in the White House, huh? Why is it British? I don't want British. Let's get another voice. English UK. I want a hi-fi voice. I want a hi-fi voice.
1 mile, turn right onto Fifth Avenue.
After 1 mile, turn right onto Fifth Avenue.
After 100 yards, turn right onto Main Street.
After 100 yards, turn right onto Main Street.
I like the English guy.
After 1 mile, turn right onto Fifth Avenue.
Which do you think?
After 100 yards, turn right onto Main Street.
She's so British. I do like a British voice.
You're tuned to Premier Channel 7. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, will begin at 6 minutes past the hour. From Premier Network.
I know. I wanted to do that for TomToms, because TomTom let you do celebrity voices. You sell your own voice. You think the British lady? That's the one I chose. Like the British lady.
I forget what some of the choices were. Couldn't you get like some rapper guy like, yo, turn left?
Oh, on TomTom you get everything. I had Dennis Hopper.
Oh,
and
that's
he'd
excellent.
Go, what? He'd go, you've arrived at your destination. Why would anyone want to go here? Stuff like that.
Wait, so it was an imitator? Because he's
No, it was real.
Oh, my God.
I think it was real. Tom used to have all these real voices as well as imitators.
I feel like I want Keith Richards telling me how to get around.
Yeah. Oh, God. Oh, I need a fix. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Taking your calls, talking high-tech, 8888 Ask Leo. We were talking to Mary before the break. Her GPS is, she can't hear the voice dictation. So she's listening on her phone. It's a Bluetooth phone connected to her car. And she hears the music, but when you're supposed to say turn left, it's nothing. So we found a couple of things to look at. One is there is a setting when you're navigating. If you tap the three dots and you go to the menu, there is a mute box. I'll make sure that's not checked. That would be the first thing. There's also, if you're there and you press settings, you'll see you can choose soft, normal, and loud voice. And then, and we'll put this all in the show notes, by the way, there is an app called A2DP Volume that is free on the Google Play Store that can control the volume of the nav and maybe turn it back up. So there you go. Couple of thoughts for you, Mary. And again, I mention this all the time. I probably don't give the address enough. Our website is techguylabs.com. And the reason it's important, first of all, it's free. There's no sign up. There's no subscription. I don't want your email. Just go there, and you can search by date, by show, by hour, and by question. So you can go to in this case, the last question in the second hour of today's show, and you can find, Mary's question. You can actually, after the show, we put up audio and video, so you can actually watch or listen to it. You'll see my text rendition of what I said. And there's a comment place. If you have additions of your own, I strongly encourage you to add those in the comments. That's great. TechGuyLabs.com. You'll also find links there to the chat room if you want to do the real-time help. These guys and gals in the chat room are so great. And they really are very helpful. Kind of when you're asking me a question, you're really asking the question of me and 1,000 smart geeks who are all sitting there in the chat room just waiting for a challenge. Dave in Crystal Lake, California is next. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Dave.
Hi, Leo. How you doing today?
I'm well. How are you?
Good, thank you. Hey, I'm looking for a camera recommendation, but before I get there, I wanted to give a little tip that I do. On my old iPhone 4 that my daughter gave me, I got the service turned off, but I download this app called Copilot. It's a GPS directional thing, and it just works on the phone's GPS.
Nice.
And so I can use it without paying any data rate or anything like that. And so I don't have to use my personal cell phone as a GPS.
Nice. You don't have to, those old iPhones can really just be effectively iPod Touches after you cancel the phone subscription. They still work.
Yeah, and they've got the GPS built into them,
nice.
So bingo.
Yeah, good idea.
Hey, my wife is a painter and kitchen cabinet refinisher. They do all kinds of faux finishes, and then they refinish kitchen cabinets and things like that. And when they're done with jobs, they like to take pictures of the kitchen when they're all done.
Sure,
and
they
they've just been using their iPhones and things like that. And I'm looking for a recommendation for a step up so that they can take really nice stuff, maybe with a wide-angle lens or something like that.
Yeah, wide angle, you said the phrase. Now, all camera phones are somewhat wide angle. They're usually around 24 millimeters. So that's wide without being distorted wide. But realtors often use even wider lenses because they want to. It has a couple of features. One, you can get more in, but it also, for a realtor, makes the place look more spacious. If you've ever visited a cruise line and seen the pictures of the cabins, they look giant. They're the size of a closet, but they look big, and that's because they're using wide-angle lenses. When you get that wide, though, you'll get what we call barrel distortion. There'll be curvature on the edges. It's almost like a fisheye, right? But software can be used to straighten out those edges, and that's really deceptive because then the room does look big, but it doesn't look like a fisheye lens. I don't think you need that. I think really for her, more important than getting the whole thing is getting the detail of the paint.
Yes.
Right? You really want that to look good. And that's one thing a camera phone... Go ahead.
And the lighting. The lighting, I guess, is always a question, too.
Right, because it's inside. So this is where a great lens makes a huge difference. Good lenses, good glass, and this is exactly what you don't get on a smartphone. You get everything else, though. Smartphone's great, the software, everything. It's just that this is plastic. It's not a great lens, but a good camera that has interchangeable lenses will give you access to not only wide-angle lenses, but what we call fast lenses, lenses that have wider openings that'll let more light in. You probably, though, with those will want to use a tripod. So it just depends on how much time she has to take that picture. If she has to snap it and run, it may not be ideal. But if she can bring a tripod with her, I would recommend.
That's not a problem.
Yeah. I personally, the other thing that makes a big difference, especially with detail, accurate color and all that, is the sensor. That's what's replaced the film in digital cameras. It's a electronic sensor it's a complementary metal oxide silicon, or CMOS sensor, that translates incoming light into bits. And that sensor is really the key to the whole kit and caboodle. The sensors in camera phones are really tiny. Even in point-and-shoot cameras are really tiny. So this also depends on her budget. A bigger sensor, a bigger lens, a better lens, all of this costs money. So what's your budget? That's going to determine what I recommend.
I just asked her. Yeah, I just asked her. She said, it's for work, and so $500.
Yeah, that's reasonable.
That gets you in the range.
Yeah. I would look at, and I mentioned this yesterday, they're very good cameras. They're kind of a higher-end point-and-shoot. It's from Sony. Okay. It's the RX100. And the reason I like these, and the reason people are happy with them, they do very well in low light, like kitchens. Of course, the more light you can let in, the better. Open those curtains, turn on the lights if you can. But the RX100 also has a 1-inch sensor, which for a point-and-shoot is really big. That's a 1-inch diagonal sensor is a nice big sensor, which means you're going to get more light, you're going to get more accuracy. It does a beautiful job with color, and they start at $500 to $700. The RX100. It's a good camera. It's compact. She can take it with her. You can take it on trips too. I think it's a very good choice.
So does that have interchangeable lenses?
It does
or
not.
Sensor.
It does not. The next step up with interchangeable lenses. Does she ever shoot video, or is it just stills?
No video, really.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think the next step up would be a Micro Four Thirds camera. These are interchangeable lenses. They have bigger sensors. They're about 50% bigger than the 1-inch sensor. And they give you very nice results, and you can get a wider lens, a faster lens as your budget allows. The one I really like is from Olympus. It's the OMD, and they have EM5s and then the EM1. The EM1 is the best of the bunch, but you can, again, that's going to depend on budget. But
sure,
those are great. Very great cameras for all purposes, and because they have interchangeable lenses, you could find a lens that's just right for cabinet photography.
Okay, great.
So those
Thanks.
are two
Love
good
your show,
choices.
buddy.
My pleasure. Thank you. Yeah, you can get me talking about cameras for hours on end. Don't get me started. I really like the RX100. I think it's a great sensor with great results, and it just looks. It's easy. If you're, I was introduced to it by a good friend who took pictures at a concert, and I said, "These pictures are amazing. What you must be using a fancy SLR?" He said, "No, it's the Sony RX100, but the low light performance is so good." And I think it's about 24 millimeters. I think it's a wide angle f1.8 lens. That's pretty good on a point and shoot camera. Add that to the 1-inch sensor, and for $500 to $800, you're getting a very, very nice system. Really nice system. Dave is in Denver, Colorado. Hi, Dave. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo. How you doing, man?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm kind of going to blindside you. I had told Heather that I was going to call about a Kindle Fire HDX 8.9. Do you know anything about that?
I have one.
Oh, okay.
I know, but now we're going to have to go put you on hold because the Magic Network commercial sounder has begun. That means I have to take a break. But you know what? I'll be right back, and we'll talk more. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
I don't think that's ever happened.
He's sandbagged you.
Is he going to change his question?
I don't know.
I'm actually going to ask you.
I don't know. We'll find out. If he changes it too much, Just show a red card, and I will make sure that he goes in the penalty box. And you have your bullwhip there, right?
Yes, always. I haven't had to use it in a while.
No, you've been good. You've been good.
Well,
no,
the collars have been good.
They're always good, even when they change their question there. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Dave in Denver. Yeah, I like the Kindle Fire HDX 8.9-inch Pro. What about it?
Well, I like to do my homework before I purchase, and
Good man. Always do that. Where do you go? How do you do your homework? Do you go to reviews in magazines?
I go to YouTube, and
That's a good idea. I always look at Amazon reviews, too. And, of course, considering that some reviews might be by the product person, some reviews might be somebody selling something competing, but you can usually tell if you read the reviews if something's good or not.
exactly. And fortunately, I found you, and that's where it comes into. Because I'm looking at the Google Nexus 9, and it's the exact same price on Amazon as the Kindle Fire. And what I saw on on YouTube is that they'll probably drop the price of that Nexus because it's not. It didn't really get favorable.
You know, there was nothing wrong with the Nexus 9. It's just people wanted more. They were hopeful for more. The Nexus, Nexus line, is Google's line of pure Android devices, both phones. The Nexus 6 is the current phone, and tablets. The Nexus 9 is the current tablet. And the advantage of those is there's no extra stuff on there. There's nothing put on there by the carriers. There's nothing put on there by the phone manufacturer. It's pure Android. In this case, Lollipop, Android 5.0. Also, Google guarantees that you will be the first to get updates. So when there's a new version of Android, it'll go first to the Nexus devices. In the past, Nexus devices have been very aggressively priced. I mean, I think the theory was that these were for developers writing Android applications. So Google wanted to make available kind of a reference hardware. That's not quite the case now with the 6 and the 9. These are really aimed at the consumer market. In fact, the 6 is being sold by all the phone carriers, which is unheard of, really. The Nexus 9 is fine. It's a good tablet. It has the advantage of being pure. Now, the Kindle, and actually Amazon's dropped the Kindle designation. The Fire tablets from Amazon are very different. They are the opposite of pure Android. They take Android, an older version of Android, in fact, KitKat, and they customize the heck out of it so you don't even see it. You don't get the Google Play Store, for instance. You have to use Amazon's Fire Store. You get the apps that are there, which is a smaller number of apps than in the Google Play Store. You also get a user interface that's really tuned to consuming Amazon stuff, videos, music, and most importantly, buying stuff at Amazon.com. So Amazon's tablets are very inexpensive. They're not bad. They're well made. I think they're fine. But you have to understand the reason they're so inexpensive, and Amazon's even said this. Jeff Bezos, the CEO, says, we don't have to make money when you buy the tablet. We make money when you use the tablet.
Right.
So if you're in the Amazon ecosystem, if you love Amazon, a Fire is a great tablet. I think if what you want is an Android device that is pure Android, that is affordable and works great, I think the Nexus 9 is a fine choice. I still have my Nexus 7, which I kind of love, and I've updated it to Lollipop. Google lived up to its promise there, and I think the Google stuff is great.
Can I get your opinion on the keyboard when you have to add that too?
Well, so any tablet will work with any Bluetooth keyboard. So you don't have to buy a keyboard from Amazon or Google. You can get any Bluetooth keyboard. Then that means it'll be, whatever you like, and it'll work. But I wouldn't buy a tablet, because if you're going to do a lot of typing, a tablet may not be the best choice. And you could type on the screen, obviously, for quick and easy editing.
Well, that's why I was telling you I might blindside you on maybe just sticking with the laptop.
Well, yeah. I mean, what do you want to do with this tablet? I always ask this, and I know it's boring, but really, that's the fundamental question. What do you want to do with it?
No, I'm sorry, but I'm really old school, and thank goodness I found you, because I'm really old school, and I still have an iPod. And
I'm the definition of old school. I've been doing this since 1980. I am. Are you a student? What do you do with it? Is it email and internet? Are you editing video? Are you playing games? What are you doing with it?
You know what? I'm just trying to catch up to technology where it is today. But I really want to. I still have cassettes that I need to put onto my iPod. So I want a tablet only because it would be easier to carry around with me. But
it's terrible for doing what you just described, though.
Yeah.
Because there's no way, in fact, that I know of, to take a cassette and get that audio into a tablet or convert it in any way on a tablet. You need a computer for that. You need a computer with a sound card for that.
Okay. Yeah. See, and
even which I like and would have recommended a Chromebook, which is an inexpensive Chrome OS based. Google makes these and they're great. Chrome OS based, effectively laptop with a real keyboard. But even that is not going to be good for converting cassettes to MP3s for use on your iPod. For that, you need a computer.
Okay.
So that's a specialized application, and I'm afraid there's no other way to do it. You can buy. I mean, there are companies that make devices that you can buy that are cassette players that will write to a little SD card. I mean, there are dedicated devices that are convert analog audio from a record. They have records. Who is it? It's the old, I want to say Crossfield. It's the old radio company. Not Crutchfield. It's the old radio company. And they make them, and they even look like old radios, but they're kind of weird because they have Crossley. Thank you. It's Crosley. It's an old radio company, and even some of these even look like old-time radio. If you go to CrosleyRadio.com, and you don't need a computer. They make these great devices that look kind of retro. You said you're old school. They look kind of retro, but they're designed for doing things like exactly what you just described, turning cassettes into digital audio, for instance. Crosley. Look, they make old phones. This is for you want old school. They even sell vinyl records. I don't see the devices they used to make. You see these at CES every year, and they're kind of fun to see them. They make look at this, the old turntable, the portable turntable. So you can certainly buy a device that you put a cassette in and you get digital audio out for your iPod. But then how do you get it on the iPod? You need a computer. I think you need a computer. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. More of your calls right after this. Doesn't it look like Crosley makes the. They used to make these USB. Oh, it is. They're part of the turntables. Look at these. There you go. That's it. So see, it has a CD drawer, and it has a turntable. And so you put it, and some of these have cassettes. You put a cassette in there. You put a blank CD. It'll burn a CD. Wow, I might have to get one of these. I mean, look, let's face it. These sound like crap. Look at that. That might be a great gift for something. Like, I think my daughter would really dig that. $149. The Spinneret. It's not the greatest website, I got to admit. The hell's
They're
going on?
adorable.
There it is. Isn't that cute?
Yeah. My friend Kim, gave me one in the most beautiful pool color.
Now, was it a
Matches my
modern
house.
one or was it an old-timey one?
It's brand new, but it looks old-timey.
So it must be like this.
That
so
looks
this has a
right.
USB connection. You plug it into your computer. You play the record, and it records. So you can even see that's what they're doing right here. It records the record as an MP3, but it also has speakers. Isn't that cool? Isn't that cool? I love this. Admittedly, the website leaves a little to be desired. I love the One Direction cruiser. So if you're a teenager and you're in love with One Direction, but you also like records, I bet you anything One Direction doesn't even make vinyl records. Right? Yeah, I agree. These are crap. These are not, these are for records you buy at the junk store, not for like audiophile. This is far from audiophile. What is a wire cutter like? I've been thinking I should get records. Yeah, there you go. Audio-Technica. That looks nice. And that's USB. $250. Audio-Technica. It's highly adjustable, built-in phono preamp. That's nice. Because normally a turntable you have to connect to an amp or preamp with a turntable input because they're unbalanced. But this is not audiophile either. Far from it. But you could plug it right into your sound bar. Yeah, none of these are any good. Definitely, whatever this U-turn orbit is, don't get that. Yeah, these are not what I'd call. Now we're talking. These are not audiophile by any means. No, these that was a dark mint chocolate, sugar-free candy bar that one of our viewers brought in the other day. Choco Perfection. They actually taste fabulous. What's in them? There must be something in them. They're sweetened from healthy plants and chicory. But this is what you want. Zero effect on blood sugar levels. There are very low glycemic index. No maltitol, no artificial sweeteners, This is good. It's a functional food. It's Choco Perfection. No, it's not fat-free. Fat-free is a terrible thing. Don't go fat-free. Fat's good for you. You need fat. I need more fat. I'm wasting away. You know what? These taste good, Dr. Mom. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Mark is in Menasha, Wisconsin. Hi, Mark. Leo Laporte.
Hi there, Leo.
Welcome.
Hey, how you doing today?
I'm good.
Okay, that's cool. Say, what it is there's a company out that has an attachment you put on the back of your iPhone 5, and then you can do thermal imaging. Now, my question is, can you get an iPhone 5 and just have it work with the camera without having to be tied up with they call it a carrier or whatever?
Yeah, sure you can.
Yeah.
So what do you? So is this like a FLIR, like that kind of thermal imaging?
Exactly what it is. FLIR. It came out with a thing. It popped right on the back of an iPhone 5, and you can thermal imaging anything in your house or whatever, even on the beach. It shows people doing it on the beach just for fun, taking weird, crazy pictures, kind of thing. So yeah, it's kind of the newest thing out.
As long as it doesn't need, and I don't think it does, a phone connection. Absolutely. You can buy an unlocked. Yeah, you can buy an unlocked iPhone of almost any stripe and just never activate it. And the phone will complain. The phone will say, "You don't have a SIM. I can't make any calls." But you don't care.
No, because all they want to use it is for checking out things around the house and different apartments and that. So yeah.
Yeah, go to Gazelle. This is a sponsor, but I'm gonna give them a big plug. Go to Gazelle.com. They sell used iPhones. So you'll save a little money. You can get them. You can even get like kind of a slightly beat up one, which will save you more. And
the thing pops on the back.
Yeah, and then so how does this connect? Does it connect to the audio port, or it's a camera?
It's about the size of the iPhone on the back, and it just snaps right onto it, just like you pop in a new faceplate or something.
Wow, that is pretty cool.
Yeah, if you ever wonder about, just pop onto the website of FLIR, and
they call this the FLIR. They call this the FLIR 1.
Yep.
Huh?
Yep, pops right on the back of iPhone 5.
I should get one of them. I don't know what I'd do with it.
That's why I want to get one, because what it is, you can see where the cold spots are in your house.
Yeah.
If you need to do additional insulation.
I have that in my car. They call it night vision, and the idea is you would see small animals and things before you run into them. And it's kind of cool because you could see where all the hot spots are. Like when I drive up to my house, I could see where all the heat's leaking out.
That's exactly right.
So this would be really useful for somebody who is, for instance, doing insulation or heat
remodeling of a house.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, according to the chat room, it connects to the lightning connector. That's why you probably need a 5 or later.
Yeah, it has to be a 5. It's iPhone 5 is what they say.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Yeah, you can get those. You don't have to activate them. You can use them as a pricey iPod Touch. I guess it wouldn't work with an iPod Touch because maybe it would. It looks like it's a case that it has to match the shape of the iPhone 5. 8888 Ask Leo. George, Santa Monica. You're next, Leo Laporte, the Tech Eye.
Good afternoon, Leo. I'd like to talk about what Steve Gibson's trying to work on, that where you don't have to use your password and username anymore.
Yeah.
Is there can you describe to us in easy language how that works? Because
so I think
older people. Yeah, go ahead.
I think we all agree that passwords don't work, right? It's a terrible scheme. And until maybe, 10 years ago, we didn't have to have any passwords. Now we all have dozens, maybe hundreds of passwords.
I want to have a logbook next to my computer.
I know, it's crazy.
It's crazy.
And but if you think about it, this is brand new. Nobody had passwords until very recently.
Yes.
So this is a whole new thing. And what I'm hoping, and Steve, who's a good friend, and he's the host of one of our podcasts called Security Now. He's a security guru and a software developer. And what he hopes is that we can get to the next stage. Because here's what's wrong with passwords. You got to remember them. There's a real tendency to make weak passwords because they're more memorable, or worse yet, a weak password that you use on every site. And because, that's the easiest. You just remember one password, monkey123, and you use it everywhere, except that there's no security there. So Steve and many others are trying to think of what can we do to replace passwords. Steve has a kind of you can find out more at grc.com. It's kind of a crazy thing he calls it Squirrel, secure, quick, reliable login. And if you read up on it, it's an interesting idea. Of course, it will not take off unless websites use it. So you can't use Squirrel on a site unless the website has implemented it. And right now, I think everybody, your bank included, they're using some form of password. Maybe they're using an additional form of authentication, like a dongle or a fingerprint or something like that. But we are so invested in passwords, even though it's a terrible system. I don't know how quickly this is going to change. The idea of Squirrel is you need a Squirrel application on your smartphone, and that Squirrel application will automatically authenticate you into a website. The website will say, oh, you want to log in with Squirrel? Tap this button. It'll show you a code, what they call a QR code, and you'll then show that to the phone, and it will just go bing, and you'll be in. Behind the scenes, a lot more complicated, but it is a clever idea that he just kind of one day in the shower went, wow, we could, if we did it, make this work. However, because he's just Steve and it's just one guy shouting in the wilderness, I don't know if that's going to take off. There are other ways of doing this. There's something called FIDO. I do believe that we will get rid of passwords at some point.
Oh, great.
I do believe it, but I don't know if Squirrel's the answer, and it's not going to be the answer unless a lot of websites adopt it.
It's not just the iPhone. Can you use it on your computer?
Yeah, you can. There's a lot of ways to make it work.
Oh, okay.
But really, the showstopper here is: are you going to convince Google? No. Are you going to? Because Google's got its own thing. Are you going to Are you going to convince Yahoo, Google, Facebook? No. And until those guys go along with a standard, I don't think anything's going to make it.
Well, all of us computer users should force it on them.
Well, I think that's right. I think if they're a better choice, then, and we all said we want it, I think it might happen. There are lots of proposals. The problem is there is a burden on both the website and the user to implement it, and it has to be kind of universal before people do it. And I love Steve, and I think I would love it if Squirrel takes off, and I want to support it in the hopes that it will. But I'm afraid there's a pretty big hump it has to get over for global acceptance. He's done it great, though.
Thanks for your time and all the info.
You're welcome. To Steve's credit, he's not charging for this. He's giving it away. He's done a huge amount of work and research on this. He's got a fairly large community behind it. Certainly the folks who do Fido and the folks at Google and the folks at Facebook know about it. But I feel like we've got a ways to go in acceptance. I don't know what the solution's going to be. The problem is, it's like the QWERTY keyboard. Everybody agrees that the QWERTY keyboard is not the ideal keyboard. There's better ways to do it. But it's so entrenched and everybody knows it that there's not much incentive to change it. We all agree that passwords are terrible, hard to remember, hard to use, a security flaw, etc., etc. But we have to all agree on the alternative, the next thing. And I don't know if that'll happen in my lifetime. 8888 Ask Leo. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. More calls to come. I apologize because I probably am mischaracterizing how Squirrel works. I should know. I should take the effort to learn this. Okay. Wishing to log into an online service where a Squirrel code appears. The user can tap or click on the Squirrel code to log in or launch their smartphone's Squirrel app and scan the QR code. For verification, Squirrel displays the domain name contained in the Squirrel code. After verifying the domain, the user permits the Squirrel app to authenticate their identity. After leaving the login information blank, the user clicks the login button and is logged in. So I think QR codes makes this a non-starter, to be honest. I'm unclear on what you do if you don't have a smartphone with you. I think this is a fascinating and clever solution, and it has many, many benefits, including not having to remember a password. If you were on a computer, you could use a Firefox or Chrome add-in. Oh, that's right, Sam T. But you got to install something. And I thoroughly support and endorse this concept. But I wouldn't hold my breath. 8888 Ask Leo. Having fun. Thank you for all the great calls. Just a few minutes left in the show. We're going to get as many as we can in here. Starting with Louie in Palos Verdes Estates. Hello, Louie.
Leo, I need you to pull me out of the ditch.
Uh-oh.
I'm getting ready to take off on a trip.
Yep.
And I was downloading something last night on my laptop, and since then I've got a problem. It boots up, and then it comes to a little point, says welcome, and then then there's a little PDF about a half an inch square, and it says Adobe, and that's it. It won't do anything else. When I boot it up in the safe mode, it comes up stuck key.
Wow. Wowie, wowie, wowie.
So I don't know what to do, and I got to take this laptop with me.
Oh, man. I don't know if I have a winch big enough to pull you out of this ditch. Wow. I don't know if it's related to what you downloaded. I mean, there's a lot of things that could happen that could cause this. The stuck key worries me a little bit. You don't see that unless you're in safe mode, though, which is very odd.
Now, this morning I played around with it, and all of a sudden I got it to boot up, and it was fine.
Yeah.
And then I was playing with Outlook, and I couldn't get Outlook to open again. So then I...
Yeah, you know what's happening? I'm almost certain is your hard drive is failing.
Really?
Yeah. Almost all the errors that we hear about really are just hard drive problems. Think about it. All your software stored there, including your operating system. When hard drives start to go bad, sectors go bad, can't be read, or worse, have errors in them, that's going to cause, if that's where an operating system file is, that file is going to be damaged. It might even load and fail. It could be what you downloaded, but it sounds much more like it's a hard drive problem. What version of Windows are you running on there?
XP.
Yeah. That's also a problem. That's kind of old.
I know, but I couldn't put Windows 7 on there. I don't have the RAM space to do it.
Yeah. Boy, that's an interesting question.
Fortunately, when I got it to boot up again this morning, I backed up everything.
Good.
But I don't know what to do at this.
Do you have the recovery disks that came with the computer?
Probably.
I mean, how many hours do you have before you have to leave?
Well, tomorrow morning.
So probably the most likely, there are other problems. Could be a hardware issue. Could be you actually have a stuck key. I don't know. But presuming you don't have a stuck key, it sounds like a hard drive problem. You could, and I would do this if you could find those disks, boot into the recovery and see if things act normally. If they do, because remember, the recovery disk is not on the hard drive. All that operating stuff is on the CD or DVD. If you can run it normally, then that means probably there's nothing wrong with the hardware. You know, if your keys work and everything.
My problem is that my CD doesn't work. Won't read.
This
so
computer is on its last legs, is it not?
Well, I don't know what it is. It's been.
Yeah, no, it is. Trust me, it's kind of.
CD hasn't worked for some time. I was going to get a new one, and I haven't gotten it yet.
I think the best thing, given you're leaving in the morning, is to run down to Walmart and get an HP Stream for $250 and just say goodbye to the old guy.
Then I have to put the programs back on and all that.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're thwarting me by saying you don't have any disc player. I mean, I don't know what to do now.
Right.
You can't reinstall Windows.
Right.
So you're kind of. I think it really is time to find to put that PC to rest. To find a place to put it. In other words, if this were a car and I were the tow truck and it were in the ditch, I'd say, I don't think I could pull it out. It's rusted through. I think you need a new car.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Okay, Leo.
Yeah. I mean, people often say dog years, a dog ages 7 years to every human one. Computer years more like 15. That computer itself is at least 10 years old. They haven't sold XP computers since... when? I think we went to Vista 10 years ago. So the computer is at least 10 years old. That means it's 150 years old. I don't blame it. It's tired. It's had it. It's had it. The problem, if you can, okay, you could go down to Fry's or the computer store and get an external drive that hooks up to the USB port and use that. Without a CD or DVD player, you're kind of out of luck. You need those restore discs and you need a way to play them, and then you could reinstall, format the drive, do a thorough low-level format and reinstall Windows, and cross your fingers that it's not something more serious. But frankly, that computer 10 years old minimum, that's very possibly the hard drive gone. I think you should just amortize the cost of the computer over the 10 to 15 years you've been using it and say, you know what, I got a good deal, and now it's time to move on. The good news is computers that are 100 times faster and better running a modern operating system are cheap right now. As I said, the HP Stream, which is a very lightweight, very cheap laptop, but pretty decent. We're talking $200 to $400 depending on the features. Amazing. Benny, Pasadena, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Benny.
Hi, Leo. I'm a mess over here. I have a ton of Post-it notes and things to do, sheets, and I'm trying to get organized here. And I'm hoping you can point me in the right direction with some type of calendar, things to do, format, or something.
Yeah, you know, you can do this so nicely with Google. I presume you have a tablet or a phone or a computer of some kind.
Yeah, I have that 10-year-old computer you were just talking about.
That's an even stronger argument for using Google to do this, because then even if the computer dies, the data is safe in the cloud. Google has a calendar with a built-in task list that's quite good. I use it all the time. They also have a program called Google Keep. All of this is free, by the way, which you can use, keep.google.com, calendar.google.com. And Keep is a note-taking app that will store your notes in the cloud. And so you can use your phone, another computer, this computer to create notes. Lisa and I use it for lists, to-do lists, and shopping lists. So we have a shared shopping list, and I can add to it, she can add to it, and whoever gets to the store first has the joint list. It's a great solution. That's called Google Keep. It's a notepad app. Between that, calendar, the tasks on the calendar, which are excellent, I think you can really get a lot of organization done. The idea, if I may steal from a friend named Dave Allen, who created the Getting Things Done methodology, the idea is to get everything into a trusted system that you can forget. Because the problem with having stuff to do all the time is it occupies your mind and often pops to mind when you can't do anything. I'm at work and I suddenly remember I've got to fix that faucet at home. That is a waste of thought. That is wasted energy. There's nothing I can do about that faucet right now. I shouldn't spend any time thinking about it. So he says what you want is it's a Zen concept, a mind like water, calm. And the way to do that is to take all those Post-it notes, all those things you need to do, and dump them out. Just dump them out into a secure system. You can organize them later into to-do lists or projects, you know, things you want to do now, things you can delegate, things you can put off till someday. You can handle all that. If you want to know more, Getting Things Done, it's an excellent book on getting your life organized. It really gets the job done. But the key is to find, and he recommends having 43 file folders and pieces of paper. You can do it with Google Keep. Just dump everything into Google Keep, the tasks and Google Calendar, and you're set. That everything you need to get that done. Another great freebie, and somebody mentions it in the chat room, is Evernote. If you want to get a little more sophisticated, Evernote's great. But Google Keep is a note-taking app that will just work everywhere, and I love it. Well, we're out of time. I hope that helps. I hope your mind is now like water, still and calm. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Have a great Geek Week. Thank you to Nathan Staten, Heather Hammond. See you later. Bye-bye. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. I'm Leo Laporte. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget, the Tech Guy is just the tip of the iceberg. We do nearly 30 shows now on the Twit Netcast Network, and you'll find them all at twit.tv. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on Mac Break Weekly, iPad on iPad Today. You get your daily dose of tech news from Tech News Today, and our weekly roundtable show, This Week in Tech. It's all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next time with another great Tech Guy podcast. Thanks for joining me. See you next time.